Welcome, everybody. I'm Love Coach Scott Katamas. It is, of course, Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe. That's all of you. And I want to acknowledge those of you who are watching live with us on Facebook. I want to acknowledge those of you that are in our Zoom room. And I want to acknowledge those of you who are watching this video recording. Maybe you're watching it tomorrow, next week, 5 years from now. Extraterrestrials watching it as they're trying to study what took place on Earth that changed everything, and it was Saturday Night Alive. However it is, welcome. You know, tonight's a really, really super important topic. We are dealing with the hardest things in life tonight. We're dealing with the challenges of addiction, depression, suicidal fantasies, and all of us have friends and family members that we know that have or are dealing with these things. And I want to acknowledge any of you in the audience, any of you listening to my voice right now that might be dealing with it either directly or through someone you care about. It's hard. It's hard. Roland, one of our speakers, and I were talking about that during our sound check today, just that we all agree, and one of the things I think you're going to see about tonight's presenters is that we all are very compassionate people, and we don't perceive that there's anything wrong fundamentally with anyone. What is true is life is hard. Life is hard, and it's a challenging time in the world. The pandemic has caused so many challenges, and so we're in the awareness that people are challenged. As a coach, I see really good people who are dealing with higher levels of addiction, compulsion, depression, suicidal fantasies. And so tonight, I'm so grateful for the people that are joining us. You're going to meet some of the most bright, light, wise human beings, and they're all lovers. They're all lovers of life. So no, this is not the Tantra Sacred Sexuality edition of Saturday Night Alive. It's the edition, though, where it's people that love life and love humanity and have dedicated their lives to helping to provide the tools, the resources we all need. All of us, every one of us, hits times where we're deeply in the shadow, where we're deeply challenged. And tonight you're going to learn some really wonderful resources. I'm going to put the spotlight on our sponsor for tonight's show. And this is our wonderful friend, Jerry Anderson, the Mystic Abbot, the Wild Abbot from Mystic Monastery. Jerry, thank you so much for your dedication to life. You are exactly what I was just describing. You are a lover of life, a lover of people. And I love your compassion and I love your care. Thank you so much for sponsoring tonight's show.
My joy to serve.
Thank you. And we're going to hear a lot from Jerry a little bit very, very soon, actually. Jerry's going to provide a quiz for all of us to take. I also want to acknowledge always our wonderful executive producer, Jay Mayer. Jay is in Hawaii, but he still is joining us. So thank you, Jay, for being with us. And thank you for all that you provide, again, along with our wonderful producer, Jan. I'm putting Jan here. Jay and Jan always now provide beautiful videos and support. Even when it's not a show that they're directly producing, they still provide wonderful support. So thank you very much, Jay and Jan, for being with us. Love you both so much. And I want to acknowledge those of you who are watching on Facebook or on our YouTube channels. Look, come join us. Come on into the Zoom room. It's really easy. All you got to do is go to globalpeacetribe.com, www.globalpeacetribe.com, and register. It takes about a minute. And there's a lot of advantages to registering. You obviously will get your email. We keep it to ourselves. We don't give it out to anybody else. But you'll get a couple of notifications from us. On Monday, you'll get a notification that gives you the link to the YouTube channel that we have where all of our previous shows live, including tonight's show. So that way you can go back, you can watch it again, you can share it with friends. Maybe you're only going to get a chance to see part of the show. You want to come back and see the rest of it. So it's really helpful. Also, you will then get emails when we have special events, and we have really cool special events. You'll hear about a couple of them tonight. And Deborah and I are always planning new special events. We just planned a new one tonight, which we're not going to announce until next week. So, but you want to be on that list so you know what's going on. So come join us, globalpeacetribe.com, so that you can be part of this family, because we truly are an incredible, ever-growing global community of like-minded souls. I like to think that we are the imaginal cells. There is an old paradigm dying. There is a caterpillar dying. There is an old paradigm way of life that was very survival oriented, and it was leading us to an extinction. And through coming together, through learning the tools that we're going to learn tonight from wholehearted.org and TJ and Roland and Jerry and all of the wonderful people that we've got with us, we come together, we learn, and we grow together. We are the imaginal cells. And as we find each other, that's how we become the butterfly, the new paradigm. So please do join us. I also want to say that in addition to some really important tools, we've got great music. When I was listening to the music during the sound and lighting checks, I got all lit up. So we've got great music. And we also got some really fun comedy with that crazy, wild, and wise Russell Brand. So it's going to be great tools. It's going to be some comedy. It's going to be a lot of wisdom and some great music. And to tell us more about it, here is my co-host and my partner, Deisree.
Thank you, Scott, and welcome everyone to what is going to be a very special show tonight as we dive deep into a very important topic. And we're now in our second month of season 5, Time to Thrive, April through June. And Scott and I are now working on another season for you, season 6, An Incredible Mix. And this will be July through September. And thank you so much for all your donations when you register for the Zoom link. This really helps us produce a show for you. And another way to donate is through our GoFundMe. So thank you so much for all your donations. It helps us produce incredible shows for you like this week after week, every Saturday night. And our theme tonight is addiction, recovery, and crisis prevention, best tips, tools, and practices. Saturday Night Alive stands for creating a world that works for all and uniting together as one. And this means supporting all our human family through the good times and the amazing evolutions that are happening now, but also through the hard times and the challenges. And what's true today is that the challenges of drug and alcohol addiction, domestic violence, and suicide have increased dramatically during this time of COVID. So we're not only dedicating this show, but Scott did a show on Straight Talk last night. There'll be another show on Sacred Sunday on these topics, bringing you evolutionary leaders that share insight and best tips. And this show not only includes vital information, but there's going to be a lot of personal experience shared. And we on Saturday night are committed to not only share positive news, but are committed to dive into the difficult topics too, that really bring us up to the good news. And we know this is a difficult topic with no easy answers. So we have incredible speakers with you tonight that will deal with addiction, depression, suicidal fantasies, but also we are happy to have them join you to share how to bring purpose and passion into your life, which is another form of healing of this. So I'd like to share our incredible presenters with you now. Tonight, we are going to have a special presentation from Michael Bernard Beckwith. He's the founder and spiritual director of Agape International Spiritual Center. He is regarded for his teachings on the science of inner transformation and embraces practical approaches to spirituality using meditation, affirmations, prayer, and life visioning. And we have a very special video just for us tonight from Michael. We are also happy to have TJ Woodward. He is an inspirational speaker and educator who enlightens and entertains audiences around the world. He assists people in life-changing ways and through his information and dynamic ways of talks and trainings. And we're really happy to have Roland Williams. He's an interventionalist. He is an author, trainer, counselor, and consultant working in addiction treatment since 1986. He's a co-founder of Free Life Enterprises and Roland Williams Consulting. Welcome, Roland.
Thank you.
And we also have a presentation from Gabor Mate. He is a renowned speaker, best-selling author. He's highly sought after for his expertise on a range of topics, including addiction, stress, and childhood development. And we have AJ Fox, who is the founder of Wholehearted.org. He and the Wholehearted team work very closely with thought leaders and speakers to produce engaging and practical programming. We also have Ann Rogers. Ann discovered a new treatment that has great success in helping people deal with addiction. Ann brought protocols for IV NAD therapy to Mexico treatment in 2021 and has been working with this strategy since that helps with brain restoration and a quicker, more efficient detox. Welcome, Ann. We also have Leland Holgate. He's a 42-year-old combat veteran, a yoga instructor and life coach, and he's had many challenges before the military and post-military, and we are going to be supporting his nonprofit, which I'll share with you in a moment, Warriors for Life. And we have Jerry Anderson, who's going to share from his experience, our sponsor. We love Jerry so much. He is the abbot of Mystic Monastery in Puerto Rico, an amazing 10,000-acre sanctuary in the middle of the island for extremely sensitive, empathic old souls. And he has 40 years as a trance healer and trained and ordained over 100 healers and is a guide to sacred sites all around the world. And we also have an amazing transmission from Russell Brand, the actor. He's an award-winning comedian, actor, author, public thought leader, and passionate activist for mental health and drug rehabilitation. This will be a special video transmission. And like Scott said, we have amazing musicians who are all very heartfully connected to this topic. We have Johanna One Heart Beekman. She's been with us many times. We love her. She's a recording artist that has toured with many major festivals and venues. She's also a yoga teacher and creator of Lullaby Yoga. And we have with us Valerie Romanoff. She's a guitarist, composer. She takes her audience through a full spectrum of music that embodies the idea that we create our reality by the thoughts we think. And her music is infused with vibrations of peace and love. And we're also really happy to have Austin Willisey. He's a pop and a cappella mentor artist who writes and records, produces and engineers and arranges different genres of music for television, film, and artists. And he's also a veteran member of the House of Jacks. Welcome, Austin. And I want to share about our nonprofit. As you probably know, this has been a constant aspect of what we've done with Saturday Night Alive, is really support through the green love that you can give us through your donations tonight. Incredible organizations that are really helping to change our world for the better. And we are going to be sponsoring tonight Warriors for Life. So we ask you to please donate tonight. This supports our military, our nation's heroes, with programs that help them cope with unique challenges that they have come through with going through combat, extended deployments, disabilities, and the long-lasting effects of war. And these are holistic health programs, such as self-regulation, yoga, meditation, and somatic-based therapies. So I'm going to post that link in the chat room, and we'd love your donations. We've generated about $90,000 in the last year that we've been able to give out to these organizations. And we'd love to be able to share a big chunk of your green love tonight with that organization. And we'll share more about it next. And as always, we start with music because music brings us in our heart and raises the frequency. And definitely we are going to do that tonight with an incredible musician, Austin Willisey. Again, he's a pop and a cappella mentor artist. He's the co-artistic director of Thrive Choir. And for the past year, he's been the director of Dawn Youth and Arts, an award-winning teen a cappella group. He's also the co-founder of Raise Your Voice in Labs and Creative Consult, which is a creative culture transformational company that helps groups employ new visions of community through music. And mostly we chose him because we knew he could set the tone, open up our heart, and raise the vibration to get us going forward with this incredible show tonight. So welcome, Austin. Thank you much for joining us, and take it away.
My pleasure. I'm so honored to be here tonight and to get to set the tone. So what I would like to do, because all of us have voices, I want to invite everybody to sing with me. And it's on a song that you don't know. There are two words that you need to know to sing along with me. One is the word you. The other is the word me. In the first chorus, you will simply sing the word you a couple times. It'll go like this. You, ooh, you, ooh, you. And then the second chorus is just me. Me, me, me. So the great thing about this, of course, is that since you're going to be on mute, if you can't sing and don't know the words or the melody, no one is going to know but you. So please sing along with abandon. The song is called There's Enough Love Left. It is a song that I wrote for a friend and also for myself, a reminder that there is an abundant well of love that I can tap into. I need to try and find it within myself, and it is there for me. And it is also an offering tonight. So I'll do the heavy lifting. I'll try and let you know when you're supposed to sing your parts. Here we go. There is enough for you. There is nothing so wrong you could ever do to make me stray too far away, to make it back to you, 'cause I know you're worthy. There's enough love left for your worst and best. And with every breath, I know you're blessed, 'cause there's enough for you. Ooh, for you, ooh, for you, for you, for you, for you. There is enough love left for me. When I am overwhelmed and feel that I'm too weak to lift my head out of my hands, don't think I'd find anyone else who understands. There's enough love left for my worst and best. And with every breath, I know you're blessed, 'cause there's enough for me, for me, for me, for me, for me. For me, there's enough love left for the worst and best. And with every enough for you. For you. Please keep singing my part, yeah. Enough for you, enough for me. When you find it's hard to see that you are worthy. Oh, Lord. Enough for them, enough for us. When you find it's hard to trust that you are worthy. Oh, Lord. Enough for you, enough for me. Standing tall on your knees. You are worthy. Oh, Lord. Enough for them, enough for us. When you feel like giving up, you are worthy. Oh, Lord. You are worthy. Oh, Lord. And I am worthy. Oh, Lord.
Ah, wow. I'm going to go to gallery view for a moment just to see everybody twinkling and appreciating that really beautiful spirit and that just wonderful way to get us started, Austin. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I want to let people know that you can get more of Austin. You know, it's just a little homeopathic dose with one song. But if you go to austinwillacy.com, that's his name, AustinWillacy.com, austinwillacy.com. Austin, tell us a little bit about We Are One Love.
We're One Love is a song that I wrote with a dear friend, Patricia Bahia, who we met at the Positive Music Awards a few years ago. And both went to a workshop on the poetry of Rumi and said, oh, you know, we really enjoyed meeting each other. Maybe we'll have time to write something together. And when we found some time to write together, the line that we were both drawn to is the line from the poem that says, they say there is a doorway from heart to heart, but what is the use of windows and doors when there are no walls? And we were like, whoa. So the first line of the song is no walls between our hearts, no walls between our souls. And that just spoke to oneness at a very deep level for both of us. And for me, there's an additional layer from an activist and writer named Leticia Nieto who says, the truth is we are one. The reality is we are not. And so much of what we are doing here and so much of the work that I try to do in the world is trying to reconcile the difference between the truth and the reality. So it's a really happy, uplifting song. On the recording of it, the teen a cappella group that I've been mentoring for just short of 24 years is actually the gospel choir on it. And I think it's the first single that I produced at my home studio. So lots of good stuff. And there's a video for it on YouTube too.
Yeah, I love how many different ways people can access you. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, iTunes Store, and so it goes. So definitely go to austinwillacy.com, everybody. And we're going to actually have an after show tonight. And Austin is giving us his blessing to play that video during the after show. So thank you, Austin. And I sure hope you'll come back and be on our show again sometime soon.
I would absolutely love that.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us. I know you're traveling. So God's blessings. Take care, brother.
Okay, thank you.
I get to bring back on board someone who we met through Global Peace Tribe. You know, you'll see later on in the show, we'll give you an opportunity to volunteer to connect with us. Well, one of the people who offered to volunteer was this incredible man, Jerry Anderson. And he said, I love your work. I've been watching your show. And so we became friends. And, you know, it's one of those things we've never met in person, obviously. He goes back and forth between 10,000 acres that he's the steward of in Puerto Rico, where the Mystic Monastery is, and the United States. He travels a lot. But you always see him no matter where he is, even if he's in an airport terminal. He's with us, moving and grooving to the music and dancing with us. And he has generously agreed to provide support for this show. So you've seen him dance, and now you get to hear him speak. Jerry Anderson.
Thank you, Scott. It's such a pleasure to share with the whole audience around the world.
our Saturday night church service together. And tonight our intention is really to share real usable tools that you can use with the people you love in the times that they need care and thoughtfulness. During our show tonight, just to make it very real, 337 people in the United States will attempt suicide. Only a quarter are successful. So being very close to so many people who've asked questions of like, what could we do? We sent them to the regular therapist and it was not successful. So tonight I would like to share a few things. And the first ultra simple point of view I'd like to share tonight is that depression is a depressed expression. And so if we don't get past this depressed expression, sometimes the problem just gets building up, as the other gentlemen are going to talk about. But sometimes just getting out of the bedroom, you know, this is the worst thing that people do, is they go to their bedroom and kind of like hibernate. So that's a lack of expression. So in my time struggling with this topic with many, many young people, I found that the background of the cause seems to be a frustration with finding meaning and purpose in their life, as well as a sense of belonging. So tonight, I'd like to take you kind of like, you might say, into the back room of the counselors that see people around the world every day. And how the counselors, addiction counselors, therapists around the world start is they start with a very simple test called ACE. It stands for adolescence. Just 1 second, it escaped my mind. Adverse childhood experiences. And so it's called ACE. You're going to find it in all the different kinds of therapies around the world. And it literally determines how many sessions a person's going to require for their counseling addiction sessions. So tonight, I suggest that we all get a paper and pencil. You just need to make a little tally mark, one mark, mark, mark. As we go, there's only going to be 10 simple yes, no questions on this. Let me see if I can do it.
And let me kind of give people a way we're going to do it. I want to acknowledge that as we ask these questions, and I've put them in the form of a poll. So we're going to go through and you'll actually be able to answer online. It's anonymous. We're not going to be able to track you, but it'll give us a chance to see how each of you feel. And so as he brings up the question, I'm also going to bring it up as a poll where we can participate. And the reason we want to do this is just to acknowledge that all of us have had to deal with challenges. And I'm sure all of us are going to have certain yeses to these answers. So there's the first question, and there's the poll. And so I want to invite people to start answering by the poll. Did a parent or older adult in the household often or very often swear at you, put you down, or humiliate you? Did they act in a way that made you afraid that you might be physically hurt? So we'll just take a moment to give everybody a chance to answer. And thank you, everybody, for sharing your answer. And yeah, so already on this one, Sherry, we're at about 60, a little over 60% of our participants had that experience.
Mm-hmm. So the question number 2 is, did a parent or older adult in the household often or very often, A, push, grab, slap, or throw something at you? Or did they ever hit you so hard that you had a mark or an injury? And if you would, again, submit your answer. This will make a little more apparent in a moment what we uncover with this.
So in this one, Jerry, we're at about 30% yes and about 70% no.
Okay. We'll see how that compares to the average on the chart just in a minute. Now, number 3, did an adult or a person at least 5 years older than you ever touch, fondle you, pull it over top of it, fondle you or have you touch their body in a sexual way, or B, attempt or actually have oral, anal, or vaginal intercourse with you.
And I want to again remind everybody that this is anonymous. We have no way of tracking your answers other than just noticing who's saying yes and who's saying no. And again, just isn't that something that about a third of our audience had this experience? And it's just, just opening our hearts and acknowledging with compassion how challenging.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
The fourth question is, before your 18th birthday, did you often or very often feel that no one in your family loved you, thought you were important or special, or your family did not look out for you, each other, or feel close to each other or support each other? That's if you didn't.
Yeah. And again, about 60% are saying yes, between 56 and 60%.
Number 5, before your 18th birthday, did you often feel that you didn't have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, or no one there to protect you? Or your parents were too drunk, too high to take care of you or take you to the doctor if needed?
Yeah, so even on this one, a significant percentage of people that are in our audience had an experience like that.
Number 6, before your 18th birthday, was their biological parent ever lost to you through divorce, abandonment, or another reason?
And Jerry, remember to do this slowly so people can hear the questions. A lot of people can read it, but for those who can't read it, if you could just speak slowly when giving the questions. Again, it's before your 18th birthday. Was a biological parent ever lost to you through divorce, abandonment, or some other reason? And more than a third of our audience had that experience.
Number 7, only 10. Before your 18th birthday, was your mother or stepmother often or very often pushed, grabbed, slapped, or had something thrown at her? Or sometimes or often or very often kicked, bitten, hit with a fist, or hit with something hard, or ever repeatedly hit over at least a few minutes, or threatened with a gun or knife? That's your mother or your stepmother.
And again, it's so remarkable because when you hear something like this, it's like, well, come on. But look at how common it is. Look at how many of our beloved Global Peace Tribe family members had those experiences when they were still children or teenagers.
Before your 18th birthday, did you live with anybody who had a drinking problem or alcohol or who used street drugs? Again, these are all before your 18th birthday. Number 9, before your 18th birthday, was a household member depressed or mentally ill, or did a household member attempt a suicide?
And let's wait a minute, Jerry, because we still got to wait for people to fill that in. I was a little late getting it up. Just about 50-50 on this one. About half of our audience. I'm really appreciating how many of you are responding. We're getting about 170 of you are responding to each of these questions. And I recognize a lot of you are watching on cell phones or whatever, but thank you so much for your participation. Okay, Jerry, go ahead.
Before your 18th birthday, did a household member go to prison? So what we want to do now is just add up your score. How many yeses did you have? And every soul is unique and reacts to stresses very differently. If a soul can forgive and grow from the experience without bitterness, that's the key. And the ACE points do not affect the soul the same. So we can compare our statistics that we just took from the poll, that in general, the response here is about 36% had a, we can see here now, 61% of our audience had a score there. On the yes, on the first question, 61%. So here's kind of how it all fits together. Across the bottom here, you can see ACE scores, 0 through 4 plus. Here you can see you can't read it too good, but with a lifetime history of depression. So you can see people with a score over, women especially, a score over 4 are 60 or close to 60% going to have a lifetime experience of depression. Men seem to not have so much, but you can see it directly correlates to ACE. Here's another chart that's kind of complicated, but what it is each of these 3 here represent one of these bad health days, physical days, or limitation days. So you can see these in a month. You can see that these 4 plus scores are up at 6 a day. That means 18 days a month. They're not having quality of life. Here's the suicide attempts, 0 to 4. You can see almost 20% have attempted a suicide in the 4 plus group. Here's the problem with domestic violence here in men and in women. Here's the scores across the bottom, and this is the percent of perpetuating domestic violence. Here's smoking in adults. You can see again, 0 is at about 6%, where we go up to over 16% in the 6 more plus category. Here's intravenous drug use with the ACE scores. 3.5% of the 4 plus are using, and this is interesting with COPD. Here's your scores across the bottom, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 plus. Almost 17% COPD in the high score group. So that's the end of what I had for tonight. A couple of things I wanted to say was that if you want a shortcut, here is the shortcut to all psychological problems. The shortcut is to be in the present moment. In the present moment, there's not the things of the past called regret, guilt, sorrow, etc. And in the future, where we find fear, anxiety, worry, in the present, none of those exist. So again, the key that we talk a lot about on Saturday Night Live is presencing is really a miracle of healing. Other thing I'll say about the healing process is it always starts with forgiveness. Either forgiving somebody, yourself, whatever the situation is, but healing always starts with forgiveness. And the Mystic Monastery is intentionally a sanctuary, a refuge for highly sensitive, empathic old souls, what we're calling the imaginary selves. Thank you for this show. It's a blessing to our world.
Thank you so much, Jerry. We love you very, very much. And I want to let people know that to learn more about Jerry and to connect with us, please join Jerry and myself tomorrow morning for our Sacred Sunday show. And we're also going to have Johanna One-Heart, one of our amazing musicians, who's going to play shortly, and Leland, who you're just about to meet. And so tomorrow morning, we're going to have a special edition of Sacred Sunday, where we're going to actually answer your questions, go more in depth, offer more significant tools. You know, again, on Saturday Night Live, we only have so much time, and these topics are so incredibly important. So we're going to go deeper, and we actually are going to be scheduling additional shows in June and July dealing with these topics because it's so important. So if you want to get to know Jerry, maybe even come online, ask him some questions, come join us tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock Pacific time. And Jerry, are you going to stick around for the after show tonight?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So you'll see Jerry dancing between now and then join us for the after show for more Q&A. Thank you so much, Jerry. All right. And to introduce tonight's Wisdom Jewel, here's Deborah.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Jerry. for setting us off in that questionnaire so we can look within. Appreciate it. And yes, this is a really amazing aspect of our show that we have every time now. It's our wisdom jewels. These are created by our executive producer, Jay Mayer, and associate producer, Jan Kaplan, and they really help reflect on a deeper level with quotes from celebrities and other people that you will know about our theme and topic. So Scott, would you like to run that?
Absolutely. And I've put the spotlight on our dear executive producer all the way from Hawaii, Jay Mayer. Jay, thank you so much for you and Jan putting together this beautiful videos for us. So we've got some more videos that Jay and Jan have put together for us tonight. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. And aloha, mahalo. All right, I get to introduce really cool guy. He is somebody that's new to my world. He was introduced to us by Johanna Oneheart, and I'm so grateful to Johanna. Thank you for the introduction and the connection to Leland Holgate. And as I put the spotlight on you, Leland, I'm going to just share with people a little bit about your background. He's a 42-year-old combat veteran and a yoga instructor and life coach. He had many challenges before the military, but even more post-military. As a young age, he was broken and beaten by his own hero and sexually abused by babysitters. His father was an airborne ranger and had a lot of trauma from the deployments. At the age of 17, Leland joined the Air Force as a C-130 loadmaster, and he headed out on his own. After his SER training and weapons training, he was part of the most deployed squadron in the world. After his last deployment, he suffered a neck injury that left him as a quadriplegic. But his physical therapist was a yogi, and through yoga, he helped to learn how to get back on his feet, moving within 13 months. The years that followed, he overcame the challenges of drug addiction, alcoholism, cancer, until he finally found his calling as a yoga instructor. However, Leland's challenges continued when his father committed suicide in 2016. And that led Leland to start this nonprofit organization, helping our warriors to find balance and purpose in life, using somatic-based therapy, helping those warriors. What a powerful life's journey you've been on, Leland. And I'm really grateful to have you on our show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. The work that I do is the most fulfilling work that I've ever done in my life. And of course, it comes from a place of experience and pain myself. And the beautiful part is that we just get to pass on that message of hope. And with Warriors for Life America, the beautiful part about that is we don't just take care of our military, we also work with the community. Because with us, we understand that being part of something bigger than yourself is truly the only way to heal, you know, feeling that purpose, that drive to actually be part of something else. And we work really, really hand in hand with the community. And a lot of what we do is like you said, the somatic-based therapy. So a lot of that is making physiological changes in the body and coming back to the present moment, like Jerry was talking about. And with yoga, breath is presence. So a lot of what we do is breath work, as well as the somatic-based therapy. And then we have our life coaching side as well. So we work all of our veterans and the community through 8-week programs. We have a 6-month program, and all of it is centered around yoga, meditation, breath work, the somatic-based therapies that we all do, which make those changes to the autonomic nervous system. And with the autonomic nervous system, you know, that runs everything and regulates everything inside of the body, and also controls our fight and flight and freeze response. So we noticed that doing a lot of this bottom-up work and making these biochemical shifts in the body by lowering your cortisol and adrenaline, which is your stress hormone, and simultaneously rising those happy hormones like your oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin, will actually make that shift for yourself and bring you back into the present moment. So I'm actually going to run everybody through just about a 5-minute practice, just to give you an example for yourself. And if you ever want to check out any of these resources, right now we're in the process of building our library. We have our YouTube channel, Warriors for Life America, where we have yoga, breathing exercises, fitness, and something called the midday reset, which is what we're going to go through right now. So you'll get to experience just that biochemical shift in such a short amount of time. So if you would.
I'm wondering if I should put a couple of people, and this I have not asked, but maybe Johanna, who is a yogi, yogini. And I'm wondering if any of our other people would like to volunteer to kind of be on camera doing this with Leland. So do we have any other Johanna, are you okay with that?
Sure.
All right.
Awesome.
Turn my
Always
reader
helpful to
down
see other people doing it. Do we have any other volunteers that would like to be on camera doing this? Deborah Giusti. All right. Thank you, Deborah. And I'm looking. Anybody else raise your hand for a bit so I can see? Jerry Anderson. Fantastic. Ann Rogers. See, you got a whole group.
I love it.
TJ had his hand up.
Who else had? Oh, TJ. Great. All right. It takes me a moment to see everybody. So, all right, there you go. You got some volunteers. Take it away.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So what we're going to do is you're in your chair. So just go ahead and sit back. Make sure you have some nice support. Just let your feet contact with the ground. Now you're going to take your hands and just place your hands in your lap. So just let your hands rest on your knees. Now let your chin fall to your chest. No need to force it. Just let it fall. And for the moment, I want you to pick out 4 different colors, maybe 4 different shapes. Could be 4 different patterns. Maybe the color of your chair, the patterns on your clothing, maybe the color of your clothing, or the shapes. Anything to bring yourself into this moment here and now. And as you're looking down, you're sending that signal to your brain, all is well. I am safe. I am right where I should be. Notice all those points by which you're supported. Your sitting bones connected to the chair, your feet supported by the ground, your legs supported by the chair. All those points which you're touching and contacting the ground. This helps bring you further into this moment here and now. Now start to pull your belly button in toward your spine. And really engage the lower intrinsic muscles by restricting the flow of urine. Pull everything in and up. Keep everything engaged. You start to feel that center of your body heating up. It's your internal core temperature, that internal furnace firing up. This helps pull all that mind chatter down away from the brain where it can be burned up and used for fuel. Keep everything engaged, pull everything in and up. And very slowly start to release. And now with a 3-part breath filling from the bottom all the way up to the top. As you inhale, big belly, into your chest, into the back of your eyes. Exhale through your chest. Press your belly button to your spine. Inhale, big belly, into your chest, washing around behind your eyes. Exhale through your chest. Press your belly button to your spine. Inhale, big belly, into your chest, cleansing behind your eyes. Exhale through your chest and press your belly button to your spine. Come back to your normal organic breath. Just notice the state of the body, your forehead and jaw released, shoulders away from your ears, your hands just gently lying on your knees. On your next inhale, take your right ear to your right shoulder, head rolls back. Exhale, left ear, left shoulder, chin to your chest. Inhale, right ear, right shoulder. Continue to roll around and link your breath to your motion here. Work at a pace that works for you. And allow that popping and cracking to just release all that nitrogen from in between the joints. That's that old stagnant energy being cleaned out. Roll around one more time. Let your chin fall to your chest. Give yourself a moment of pause here. Now on your next inhale, left ear to left shoulder, head rolls back. Exhale, right ear, right shoulder, chin to your chest. Inhale, left ear, left shoulder. Continue to roll around again. Link your breath to your movement and move at that pace that works for you. Cleaning out that old stagnant energy, making way for the new. We'll roll around one more time. Let your chin fall to your chest. Give yourself that moment of pause. And while we're here, you take an inhale all the way to the top. Breathe in all the way. As you exhale, release your forehead and jaw. Let go of all your facial muscles. Inhale all the way. Breathe in all the way to the top. As you exhale, feel your shoulders fall and your arms become heavy. Inhale all the way. Breathe in all the way to the top. And as you exhale, feel your legs and your feet become heavier and heavier. Breathe in all the way. Inhale all the way to the top. And as you exhale, release all tension in the body. You start to think of everything that you're thankful for in your life. This could be the simple things, the air that you breathe, the water that you have available, maybe your friends and family, or the ability to walk. And as you move forward from this practice, just continue to run that gratitude slideshow behind your eyes and remind yourself through the whole day of all those things that put a smile on your heart and on your face. Very slowly start to blink your eyes open and you can lift your gaze. And there we go. That's an example of making that biochemical shift and the power that we all actually contain. You know, we all own that power to come back to the moment and bring ourselves back. So it's something that we love to work with. It's an honor to be here with you guys. And if anybody would like more of that as a resource, we have that on our YouTube channel. And please feel free to reach out to us.
Well, thank you. And I want to have you, while you're still with us, well, you're going to be with us for all night, but
I'll be here. Yeah.
but tell us more about the work that you do with Warriors for Life, because we're going to ask people to start donating. And
yes.
started a GoFundMe. Deborah's putting the link into the chat box. And this is a new training. So tell us about the new training that the money that's raised tonight is going to go to.
Yeah. So it's exciting work. We have a 3-day course that we put a lot of our veterans and some of the community members through as well, because we work with the community. So through this 3-day program with the resilience training, we make sure that we include a lot of logical science as well, make sure that everybody understands what the limbic system is and how the body responds to trauma, ways to release that trauma. We also train them in neuro-linguistic programming. So we're going through a lot of positive affirmations and reprogramming of the reticular activating system and all these amazing things that can happen with just the discipline of doing it over and over and over again. And we've noticed amazing stories of comeback. And also we have a lot of our veterans now that come through the program that actually want to teach. They want to become a coach. And they want to take it out there and train their brothers and sisters in the community on the ways that you can heal and release that trauma from the body. So this program it's something that like really fills my heart, and you should see the camaraderie that happens in this. You know, there's a lot of things, of course, that we all don't process. And when you go through this 3-day course that we put everybody through, you come to know yourself in such a different light, and then you see that in other people as well. So it really strengthens their resolve and brings purpose back to their life in a big way. So I want to thank you so much for having us on and including us in this amazing movement. And we're really excited to be here with you guys.
No, thank you. So I'm going to show 2 websites to learn about the overall organization. It's warriorsforlifeamerica.org. warriorsforlifeamerica.org. And the new GoFundMe for this new program that they started is going into the chat box. But you could also just go to GoFundMe and type in Warrior Resilience Training, or use the link that Deborah Juicy is putting in. And I want to acknowledge that both Debbie Johnston and I were the first people to donate just a little bit to get this going. Thank you, Debbie, by the way. I noticed that you did that. So everybody, please come on in. And as we always do on the show, I'm going to share with people thank yous. And I will acknowledge those of you who've donated. And of course, if you want to donate anonymously, then that's great too. But it's also fun to acknowledge our Global Peace Tribe members that are donating. So thank you so much. And let's really be generous. I mean, let's think about this for a moment. What it's like for someone who joins the military, want to be of service to their country, and all that they go through. And they come back home, and there's just, probably for most of it, unless we've gone through it, unimaginable what it's like to have been over there, to experience whatever you've experienced, and then come back here. And so, and I think Leland is an amazing example because he's gone through it. And on both levels, you know, the understanding of being in the military yourself, knowing those challenges, losing your father, an airborne ranger, to suicide. But then also on a personal level, having yoga take you from, I can only imagine the despair when you were a quadriplegic, the horror of that, and to find the way out through yoga. What a life journey you've had, man. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you as part of our family here.
Amen. I'm glad to be here.
And speaking of family, here's our big mama, the mama of our family. Here's Deborah to introduce our next performer.
Thank you. Amazing, Leland. Thank you so much. And yes, we're going to raise the energy again with music. Again, like Scott said, we have great musical performers tonight. And tonight, right now, we are going to have Valerie Romanoff. She is a guitarist, composer, and she takes her audience through a full spectrum of music, and I would say very conscious music. She embodies chill for music activation, thrill for music celebration, and still for music meditation. and her music is infused with the vibrations of peace and love. She's co-founded the world-renowned Starlight Orchestra, and she's won awards for Healing Music Volume 2, Best Meditation Music, and Best World Fusion Album. And she is fabulous and has a lot of energy, and she's very passionate about this topic as well. So that's why we invited her on. So welcome, Valerie. So great to have you with us again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's incredible to be here. And it's so synchronistic that Johanna is here too, because Johanna and I have created a lot of music together, which we're going to get to that in a little while. I am going to, when Scott first told me what the topic was, I thought it was so wonderful. And there's so many areas of focus that we could talk about, that people are going to talk about. There's, the compassion and the meditation and mindfulness and manifesting practices. But the one piece that really stood out for me was thinking about the kindness and the love that we can show ourselves, and that we show our own inner child and the person that we are. We freely give love to so many people, and sometimes rarely ourselves. So music has vibrations and is an amplifier and a conductor. So some of these thoughts are in the music. So I'm going to do a little variety of pieces to share that vibration with you.
Welcome to the world, it's your day. Welcome to the world, little angel. It's your world to change. Sometimes you won't remember who you really are, but trust me when I tell you, you've always been a star. Life can be a party if you just allow, and remember, everything is now. Welcome to the world, little angel. Welcome to the world, it's your day.
Welcome to the world, little angel.
Little angel, it's your world, it's your world, it's your world to change. Da 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 da.
That's so much fun, Valerie. You just are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And we got a lot more Valerie coming up. Wait till you hear the video duet that she and Johanna put together. It's amazing. It's really, really, really fun. So we're going to have that. And if you want more Valerie, there's a lot of ways to do that. Valerie, tell us a little bit about how we can still chill and thrill with you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, since we've been home and we haven't really been out doing a lot of gigs, we've taken it online. And I started a Twitch channel, and I'm doing Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon Eastern time. Mondays is still music for meditation. Wednesdays is music for manifesting, really chill. And Fridays is thrill. And you can come there and join. I'm just launching that channel, so I'd love everybody to come on and be a part of it. Also, I lead this amazing party band called the Starlight Orchestra, and we travel around and we play at big, amazing events, a lot of fundraising events, raising tons of money for worthy organizations and big parties. And of course, there's just all kinds of intentional music and my albums. And I'm always loving to collaborate. And Johanna and I have a growing catalog of music for positive intention and healing.
Yeah, you sure do. So again, the place to go, everybody, is Valerie Romanoff Music. And Valerie, thank you so much for being with us tonight. When I decided to do this show, just like TJ Woodward was who I wanted to go to as our first offer coach, first person I thought of was, I said, we're going to need some rock and roll for this show. We're going to need to lift things up. So I checked with Valerie. She said, yeah, I'm available that night. So here we are. Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you, Scott. And Debbie.
Well, speaking of TJ Woodward, I'm going to share with all of you a little bit of a story about myself. I hit a real rough spot about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. My dog of 18 years died. My relationship ended, and a long-term partnership ended, all in the same month. And I hit a real low point. I was drinking too much, and I was struggling. And I have my dear friend, Katrina Valancourt, referred me to TJ Woodward. And I was fortunate that TJ agreed to work with me as a coach. Now, look, I run the Love Coach Academy. I am a snob about coaching because I think I'm a brilliant coach, and I train other coaches how to be brilliant as well. So I'm very snobby about coaching. And I'm really grateful that the person that I was referred to as a coach turned out to be TJ Woodward, and he really helped me a lot. And it was also great because I got to know the amazing work that TJ does. He has a real understanding of humanity and the way he thinks, the way he supports is amazing. So welcome as co-host of tonight's show. And TJ, please tell us all about conscious recovery and your story, your work.
Oh, thank you so much, Scott. And thank you for that introduction. I'm so incredibly honored to have been able to work with you. And I love that you call yourself a coach snob. I think that's incredible and wonderful, right? Because there is so much power in the work you do. So I appreciate and I honor you and see you in that way. I have been working in the addiction treatment field for 12 years, and I've been in recovery myself for almost 35 years. And when I started working in the addiction treatment field, a couple of things stood out to me. One, most of the treatment, most of the modalities, most of the treatment centers were focused on symptoms and behaviors without getting down to the underlying root causes that were actually driving addiction. I was meeting people that were telling me I'm in treatment for the 4th time, the 5th time, the 10th time. And the other thing that stood out, which might even be more profound and more important for this conversation, is that I think really well-intentioned therapists, coaches, counselors were viewing the people they were working with, the people who were in treatment, in some way as damaged or broken. And this wasn't really conscious. going back and telling a little bit of my own story, when I was about 18 months sober, I found myself feeling suicidal. And I was suicidal because I hadn't yet addressed the underlying root causes that were actually driving my addiction. And the second piece is I felt broken. I felt damaged. I felt like there was something fundamentally wrong with me. So when I started working in the field and realized that so much of the treatment was doing that in that same way that I experienced when I was early in recovery, I became curious about how we can do better. And I became curious about what might happen if I were to start looking at every person I was working with as a whole and perfect spiritual being rather than being broken. In my own life, that's what was offered to me through an incredible woman named Mary Helen Brownell, who changed my life, who saw me as a whole and perfect spiritual being when I couldn't see that for myself. And so I wrote the book, Conscious Recovery, and I developed a whole system of care that is conscious recovery based on the foundational principle that underneath all addictive behavior is an essential self that is whole and perfect. In my own journey and in working with clients for many years, one of the things that I have seen so pronounced is that people feel damaged or broken, not good enough, not worthy, carrying around core false beliefs that were then creating what they called reality. And most of the time, these core beliefs were buried deep in the unconscious or the subconscious. I also really heard a lot. I heard the term coping mechanism. We've all heard that, right? A coping mechanism or a defense strategy. And I actually have come to recognize, whether it's addiction or anxiety or depression, I have come to recognize these as brilliant strategies and reframe them as brilliant strategies. And then look at what that strategy is trying to manage. And so conscious recovery in some ways is profoundly simple. It's operating under the knowing that there is a whole and perfect spiritual being underneath all of these brilliant strategies that we once called a coping mechanism. And rather than looking at ourselves if we have an addiction, or the people we work with, or the people that we meet who have an addiction, rather than looking at them as broken, can we look for the wholeness within them? We are now recognizing through quantum mechanics that the observer has a profound effect, and how we view someone or something actually has a profound effect, or it creates a possibility for a particular outcome. Science is now showing us that what we look for is actually what we discover. And so if we are looking for what's broken in the people we are working with, if I am believing that I am broken as someone who has an addiction, there's a higher probability that that's what we're going to discover. There's a very interesting paradox here, right? I recognize that each of us within ourselves, deep within ourselves, has all of the answers for our life. We have that internal guidance system, the internal wisdom. And yet when we are in an addiction, many of us have lost our ability to connect with that. So the paradox is the answers are within everyone that is really in any different state in their life, but oftentimes people can't do it alone. And so that's really where conscious recovery comes in. It offers a framework to help someone actually not learn about recovery, but to unlearn all these core beliefs, these core ideas that they've been carrying around about themselves and the world. It's a frequency, right? It's not a mental process. Sometimes we say to someone, change the narrative, or change your story, or opposite action, or just write a new narrative. But in my experience, these core false beliefs get concretized really early in life. In my own journey, at the age of 7, I made some fundamental decisions that I was not smart enough, I was not good enough, and I was not lovable. I built a wall around my heart, and I walked around believing I was damaged and broken. And that frequency was what was being emitted into my life. And I kept finding myself in situations that confirmed the core false belief rather than what I was trying to achieve in my life. Then through my addiction, I found relief. But of course, through that substance use, it ended up causing more problems than it did solutions. And so conscious recovery really helps someone get down to the deeper root causes. And in my experience, the root causes of addiction are unresolved trauma, spiritual disconnection, and toxic shame. So conscious recovery is a pathway to help someone return to their true nature, to recognize, regardless of what has happened, regardless of what they have done, there is still this place of essential wholeness within them. And as we begin to examine, question, and unlearn all the core false beliefs that we have put on top of it, you see, we come into this world as whole and perfect beings, and then we are programmed by society, by families, by schools, to believe that we are less than whole and perfect. And so then recovery is about returning to that place. And time is limited this evening, so I'm going to close by saying, if no one has told you today, you are a whole and perfect spiritual being, no matter what has happened to you or no matter what you have done, there is a place within you that is still unharmed and unharmable, and that you are worthy of a life deeply connected with that true nature, a life filled with purpose, passion, love, and connection. Peace and blessings. Thank you so much. And thank you, Scott, for inviting me. I'm deeply honored to have shared with you this short time about conscious recovery.
Well, it is a short time. And I just want us to all take a moment and breathe in while I keep the spotlight on TJ. What he's sharing. Let's really make that commitment to seeing ourselves as whole. And remembering that whether it's judgment of ourselves, criticism of ourselves, or judgment or criticism of another, it's not who we truly are or who they truly are. Our problem is with the choice or behavior. And we all make choices that sometimes have hurtful consequences on ourselves and on others. And obviously people in our world make hurtful choices. But if we can really practice seeing the divinity in all, seeing the wholeness in all of us and within ourselves, while adjusting and taking responsibility for our choices, acknowledging choices and behaviors that have hurtful consequences, while always maintaining the divine remembrance of who each and every one of us are. And that's what I love about TJ's work. It really correlates exactly with the way Love Coach Academy thinks, and really all of the people that are with us tonight. So thank you so much, TJ, for that.
Thank you, Scott.
And TJ's going to stay, you're going to get more TJ tonight. But I want to also take you to his website, consciousrecovery.com, consciousrecovery.com. And when you go there, check I am. And so tell us about these three options. I love the way you set this up, TJ.
Oh, thank you. You know, we did this because of the power of the I am, but it really is, there are three different ways to access conscious recovery. So it starts with, I am an individual person who is either suffering in some way from addiction or who is in recovery. And then I am a professional. We've created, just like Love Coach Academy, we've created the conscious recovery certification process for therapists, counselors, and coaches who work with people who have in some way addiction. And, you know, we can't even say enough that we're coming out of these unprecedented times, as we've been saying, but people's addiction is rising, people's mental health issues are rising. And so we're offering this program, and we have certified coaches all over the world now that can help people break the cycle of their addiction through this place of wholeness. And then finally, I am a person who owns or operates a treatment program. Conscious recovery is a full system of care that includes curriculum, workbooks, books, and I go in and train treatment providers how to use my system of care. And really, it's the deep work here is that it's really about what gets created when I view my client through the lens of wholeness. So those are the three different ways that a person can access conscious recovery.
Beautiful. And so if you go down there, then once you kind of choose which of those I ams you are, then you can kind of pick and go further. So TJ, would you like to introduce our next presenter?
I would be delighted to introduce our next presenter. Roland Williams is someone who I have had the honor of working with in many different capacities over the past decade. And, you know, Roland, you were a person who was there for me when I was going through a dark time. And so I just feel your heart is in such a beautiful place. I tend to say this every time I introduce you, Roland, because I think it's true. And that is, you're like a Johnny Appleseed of treatment. You have been part of starting so many different treatment programs, and you have touched literally hundreds of thousands of lives. You've now written this incredible workbook. I have the honor of being one of the thought leaders with you on wholehearted.org. You have courses there. You run relapse prevention trainings. And mostly what I want to say, Roland, is I love you and I appreciate you. And I love that you are bringing your heart into this work. So everyone, this is the incredible Roland Williams.
Thank you, TJ, so much, man. And I love you too. And I love that website. I love the presentation and the people who sang and presented and talked before me. This has just been such a cool experience. I'm glad I'm here. And I've watched your journey, TJ, and it's inspirational. And I'm excited for you and excited for the people that get to work with you. And I get to work with AJ, and I'm watching AJ just kind of slowly and methodically work on changing the world by making this stuff more available to so many people with wholehearted.org. So it's exciting for me to be part of this and to be here tonight. I'm going to talk like TJ said, and TJ, one day we have to talk again because we have some similarities that I didn't really realize. So I want to have lunch with you. We're due for another meal. I want to talk about recovery. You know, I think that we all know about addiction, and we know about mental health. I've been working in addiction treatment and mental health treatment for the last 35 years, nonstop. That's all I do, and that's all I've done. And I've worked with some of the most famous people in the world, and I've gone into penitentiaries and worked with some of the most dangerous people in the world. And I love this work. And I think that people get called to do this kind of work. This what we do. We get called. I tell people what I do, and they say, damn, that must be hard. And I say, yeah, it can be hard, but it can also be incredibly satisfying. So I want to talk about recovery. And when we think about recovery, like, just be aware that you don't have to be an addict to need to be in recovery. You don't have to be an addict or an alcoholic or a person with mental illness. Recovery is just about us wanting to take good care of ourselves. I view it as a big concept that people want to be the best version of themselves that they can be. And sometimes things hinder that. Sometimes it's old tape. Sometimes it's the adverse childhood experience. Sometimes there's some messages that we learned very young that we brought into adulthood. But we all could be a better version of ourselves if we put some action into it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about recovery, and at the end of this, I'm going to tell you what I think is the secret to recovery. I'm going to tell you a secret, so don't tell anybody. I'm going to keep it between us. So when you think about recovery, just think about taking care of yourself and what does that look like? The thought leaders in addiction treatment have really kind of narrowed it down to, it's about taking care of your body, taking care of your mind and your emotions, taking care of your relationships, and taking care of your spirit. Biopsychosocial spiritual. That's kind of an understood pathway to some healing. And people have different methods that they get to that. But that's kind of like the goal. And I want to say that recovery is hard. That this is really hard. Recovery is, I call it, a friend of mine told me years ago, he said, this is a hero's journey. This is the stuff of warriors. This is not the easy or softer way. We live in an addictive society. We have this mentality. I've been fortunate enough to have worked all over the world. And we have a kind of a mentality in the US, and most Western countries, that we believe that if things don't feel good, something's wrong. And I need to do something to make it feel better. So that formula is jacked up right from the beginning. That's a messed up formula. If I don't feel good, something's wrong, and I need to do something to make it better. So I need to eat something, drink something, smoke something, screw something, fight something, buy something, wear something to get better. And in some other places, people realize that sometimes we don't have to do anything. Sometimes you just sit still and do nothing. That feeling bad doesn't mean that feelings aren't a good way to gauge the quality of your recovery or your life or your wellness. Just life don't feel good. Sometimes life doesn't feel good. That's just the way it is. And we don't have a lot of tolerance for things not feeling good. So knowing that, we've gone through the last couple of years that didn't feel good for a whole lot of people. This last couple of years has been rough. I mean rough, capital R-O-U-G-H, rough. You know, we've gone through fires and we've gone through riots and we've got all these divisive politics and all this divisive rhetoric. We've seen all kind of stuff on TV that people should never have to see. You know, we've been ripped apart, then we've been locked down. We got the pandemic. We don't know what to believe. We're getting mixed messages and we're at each other's throats. And like Scott said earlier, we can't use a lot of the stuff that we used to use to cope. And so people are like up to here. You know, people are like wore out. They're exhausted, emotionally, spiritually exhausted. And a lot of people have turned to substances and behaviors to kind of cope with that. A lot of people have thrown in the towel. A lot of people don't have a place. They don't have a tribe to get together and talk about what's going on. A lot of people are suffering in silence. So there's a need for healing right now. You know, it's rough right now. And so I think that as many people, what I'd like to do is just stay mindful of the fact that healing happens, that life gets hard. And the trick to longevity in this whole process is to be able to do it when it gets hard. It's easy when it's easy and it's hard when it's hard. I work with people and they say, oh man, that's hard. That's hard. And I tell them, dude, you've been doing hard stuff your whole life. What are you talking about? You've been doing hard stuff your whole life. Yeah, it's hard. I know it's hard. But you can do it, you know. And the trick to longevity around here is that when it gets hard, and when I say longevity, I mean long-term commitment to taking care of myself. Know that there's going to be some rough days. And the trick to it is to be able to, it's easy when it's easy and it's hard when it's hard. You got to be able to do it when it gets hard. And we can support people. One of the paradoxes of recovery is that you alone can do it, but you can't do it alone. One of the things that we're fortunate enough to do is to us as providers, as healers, as people invested in supporting other people's wellness, is we get to walk that path with them. I tell them, I'll walk with you. I'll walk with you. I won't walk in front of you. I won't walk behind you. I'll walk with you. You know, we need to recognize that each person has their own path. Like there's no one path. One of the biggest problems in addiction and mental health treatment is that people think it's only one way. You know, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. You got to do this. You got to go to meetings. You got to do this. You got to do that. Well, what keeps one person clean might get somebody else loaded. So we have to be open to everybody finding their own path, giving them the dignity to find a path that works for them. I've been embarrassed at times about my field, the addiction treatment field, is because we have been trying to force feed a model down people's throats for years. And anytime somebody objected to that model, you know, that's why I love that TJ's doing some different stuff, that other people are doing some different stuff. We've got options now, because when people used to object to that model, we would treat them like they had just told us our baby was ugly. You know, it was like blasphemy. How dare you say that? This saved my life. This is sacred. So I'm so happy that things are changing in this industry. I'm so happy that we have an opportunity to recognize that people are the expert of their own path. That there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different avenues, a lot of different options for people, and that healing is possible, no matter how bad it got. I've seen a lot of tragic things happen, but I've seen a lot of amazing things happen. And I feel so privileged to be part of this process. So here's the secret. I'm gonna tell you a secret to recovery. All right. So there's two secrets, actually, two secrets. So the first one is very consistent with what TJ was saying. The first one is that you're okay. And that you've always been okay. You came out okay. And even through all the ups and downs that life has dealt you, you're still okay. That's the first secret. And the second secret is that there's no free lunch. You got to do some footwork. you got to do some footwork. Those are the two secrets of recovery, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. With 35 years of being an observer and a traveler on this journey, that's what I've come to. It's that simple. You're okay. You've always been okay. But there's no free lunch. You got to do some work. And you got to figure, I love the song that Valerie was singing that talked about the work. Talked about the work. Like we got to figure out, and we got to help them figure out what's our work. What's my work? And you know, my work might look very different than Scott's work. And it may look very different than AJ's work. And it may look very different than Leland's work. But I do realize that I've got to do some work if I want to get better. So I really appreciate this opportunity to be with you guys, just be in such good company. Wow, I feel like I'm in good company. There's some heavy hitters in here, man. Jeez. So thanks for that. And Leland, I loved your presentation and the work you're doing, man. I meditate. I've worked in Thailand. I mean, that little 5-minute checkup that you did, I forgot what you called it, but you had a cool name for it. But that was great, man. I really appreciate it. The music was amazing. So I'm really happy to be here. Thank you guys so much.
Well, thank you very, very much, Roland. It's great to get to know you. And, you know, I'm so impressed with Roland and what's happening with Wholehearted that I'm dedicating a week from tomorrow, I'm sorry, a week from last night, our next Straight Talk is going to be all about discovering the power of what Roland does through wholehearted.org and Conscious Recovery, TJ's work. So if you've really enjoyed hearing Roland, if you've enjoyed hearing TJ, and you want to go deeper, that's why we do Straight Talk. It gives us a chance to go deep. Last night, we went deep with Annie Rogers and a couple of other people. And next week, it's going to be TJ and Roland. And Straight Talk is on Friday nights at 7:30 Pacific time, 10:30 Eastern. And please do join us. It'll be a really, really wonderful show, a chance to learn a lot more, get more tools. And also what we do is we sometimes get, we bring on people in the audience who have questions. Last night, we brought somebody on at the last minute who was amazing with what he had to share and to offer. So there's that. And also Roland's website is his name plus consulting. So in other words, it's rolandwilliamsconsulting.com. And when you go to the website, there's a couple of places I want to make sure that you go to. You go down to his store, and he's got some really wonderful books. Tell us about Recovery as a Verb, Roland.
So like I said in the presentation, that there's no free lunch. If you want to get better, if you want to, there's some, you can benefit from the experience that other people have had. Other people have done some of the footwork for you. A lot of people in this room have done some of the footwork for you. This first book is called Recovery as a Verb. It's an action word. It's not what you say, it's what you do. A lot of us can talk our butts off. You know, my grandma used to say, boy, you can talk a cat off a fish wagon. we know how to talk, but what this is about is work. And so that Recovery as a Verb is a workbook, and it's full of exercises and pieces of work that you can do to help fuel and motivate and accelerate and provide insight and clarity around the healing process related to recovery. Recovery being taking good care of yourself. And this is, you know, I grew up in the South Side of Chicago, and I grew up in the hood. I grew up in a neighborhood that's been devastated by addiction. And so one of the things that I want to do early on in my career is I wanted to give something back to my community. And I wrote this book. There's actually a textbook that goes with it. There's a set of relapse warning signs. There's a pamphlet that goes with it. But this is actually a workbook. I recently updated it, and it's a relapse prevention for African Americans. And it's a culture. It works with this process from a cultural perspective and looks at some of the unique aspects of how people from different cultures are affected by, and how they receive help, how they ask for help, how they are affected by the addiction. It deals with so many of the cultural things that a lot of times we don't just stop to think about. And it's also a workbook. And there's a textbook that goes in there, and the people use it all over the different places in the country and different programs that work with this population. So, you know, what I do is that I train therapists. A lot of what I do, I'm still a therapist. I still work with some clients. I work with a lot of healthcare professionals, impaired physicians, medical professionals. But what I do most these days is I train. I train therapists. I train staff. I write curriculum for treatment programs. I get treatment programs licensed, and I just love this work. I ran the chemical dependency studies at California State University, East Bay, for many years, and have taught many, many people how to help people that struggle with this, how to help them get better. So again, thank you so much, Scott, for the opportunity.
God bless you, Roland. Thank you so much for the work we're doing. Looking forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. You know, people ask me, what is light touch? I get that all the time. Well, okay, we see light touch all the time. What is light touch? So let's learn just very briefly, what is light touch?
Thank you for all the divine appointments. Thank you for spiritual wellness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for blessing our blessings. Thank you for transforming my relationships. Thank you for the most divine relationships. Create and manifest all our miracles. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, you see, it really is that simple. Light touch is prayer, affirmation, and really celebrating our beautiful body temples, awakening the senses while we connect to the divine. And it's a wonderful thing. So if you're wanting to learn more about it, definitely go to light-touch.me. All right, it's time for some music. And to tell us all about it, here's Deborah.
Thank you, Scott. Yes, we get to bring back some heartful, high-frequency music, very in alignment with the theme tonight. We are going to have Johanna One Heart Beekman. She is a multi-genre performer, recording artist. She performs a lot of the festivals. She's also a yoga teacher and a healer and a coach, and also very much connected with this topic from her heart and from her soul. She's been with us many times. We love to have her back. Welcome, Johanna. So great to have you back again.
So happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Deborah. I know we've spoken a lot today, but this topic is very close to my heart. I'm going to dedicate this song to my Aunt Kathy, who chose to leave this world too soon. And this is how I heal that. This is how I help others to choose differently. This music, these songs, this medicine. So thanks for receiving it. This is called The Light Inside. You are the sun. You are the moon. You are the universe inside when you come home to you. You are the light inside. You can't help but shine through the darkness. You are divine. Though there is darkness, there is light. Though you are human, you are divine. Though there are shadows inside, every breath you breathe in light, receiving the light with your breath. Every breath you breathe in light. Every breath we breathe in light. Pavana, pavana, pavana. It's a chant chant from the Kundalini tradition, the Sikh tradition for the breath. So I'd like to invite us on a breath journey, drawing in the breath through the crown of your head, through your heart and down, letting anything that's not serving you out with the exhale, giving it back to the mother. It's food for her. Anything that feels sticky, that darkness inside, letting it go, letting the light come in through your crown, filling your lungs. Heart open wide. The whole universe lives inside. Oh child, come on home. Come home to the light. Though there is darkness, there is light. Though you are human, you are divine. Though there are shadows inside, every breath you breathe in light, breathing in that light once more, exhaling the darkness. Every breath you breathe in light, you are the light, you are divine. Pavana, 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 pada, pada. Pavan Guru, Pavan Guru. Oh, yeah. Breath, it's your guide. The whole universe lives inside, and your heart, it's open wide. I said your heart is open wide, and the whole universe lives inside. This heart is open wide. The whole universe lives inside. So breathe, breathe.
Just wanted to take in for a moment all the appreciation from people here tonight for that just exquisite, exquisite musical experience. Thank you so much. Mm. We just love you so much, Johanna. You are such a precious part of this great global peace tribe. And
Scott. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, tribe.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
And for more, she has so many wonderful offerings. I'm going to show you her website in a moment, but there's so much going on. I want to start by just taking people to the primary place to go, which is Johanna, it's JOHANNA, sings.com, johannasings.com. And then if you go to /offerings, you'll get a chance to see a lot of what she's doing. And she's doing a lot. Johanna, you're amazing. You all what you do in our world, it blows me away. So taking a look at your website, tell us a little bit about Lullaby Yoga.
So I have a program coming out. It'll be evergreen content on my website. It's a 5-class series that will, excuse me, my reverb's still on. Hey. A 5-class series leading us through retraining of the nervous system through restorative yoga, sound, meditation, mantra, and breath work to restore our natural state. Again, a lot of what Leland was saying, working with the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems through the mantra music. Kirtan works with both, which is a very unique thing around chanting practices. So I use this as a backdrop to reset our nervous systems. And I had been hit by a drunk driver, and I was maybe 30, and everything was not moving or working. And this is when I developed Lullaby Yoga, and doctors said I was not going to practice yoga again at all, let alone the kinds of asana that I enjoy when I'm feeling up for a rigorous practice, which is what I was trained in. And so I developed Lullaby Yoga and used these somatic tools for healing my mind, body, and spirit, and resetting everything to a more natural state than it had ever been in before. And so I began to share that work, and I've been touring all over the country to festivals, to churches, helping people. I remember, we'll talk a little more about my story tomorrow. I don't want to get too deep in, but there have been moments where people have had their lives saved and told me about that with the practice. And I'm so, so, so grateful for every human being who is able to stay here, stay sober, and stay sane. So thank you, all of you presenters, for all of the incredible work you're doing in this field.
Beautiful. And Johanna's going to be back. She and her partner Valerie have put together not one, but 2 amazing videos for us tonight. And I can't wait to share them with you. And again, as she referenced, remember that tomorrow morning, Johanna and Leland and Jerry are all going to be joining me for my Sacred Sunday show, where we're really going to be able to go deeper into stories and tools and take some of your questions. So please do join us tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern. I'm going to bring my co-host, TJ, back on. Hey, TJ.
Hi, Scott.
How's the show going for you tonight?
I mean, so incredible. Wow, Johanna, that music just opened my heart. And Roland, I love you and everything that you shared. And I'm just deeply honored to be here. Yeah.
Well, a lot of this is possible because of AJ. And so I want to ask you to introduce AJ. And I recognize that AJ tends to be shy. He's not commonly showing up on camera, but tell us a little bit about this wonderful man.
I am delighted to do that. I met AJ several years ago when I was presenting at a conference, and immediately we discovered that we had a very similar vision and passion. And that passion was really providing a place, a space, an opportunity for people to really heal. As people are performing, singing, speaking, I'm reminding myself that we actually can heal. And I would love for us to shift into a new conversation. And AJ is such a big part of that conversation. And we can have like 5-hour lunches that go, or dinners that go until wee hours of the morning, because we both have a passion for really helping people return to who they really are. And so AJ founded wholehearted.org some time back to be a platform to help as many people as possible. And, just so honored to be a featured thought leader on the platform, along with Gabor Mate, Marianne Williamson. We did an interview with her, Roland Williams, Mark Lundholm. He's done some work with Brene Brown in the past, and just really a visionary. So I'm deeply honored to introduce AJ, and he's going to be talking with us about wholehearted.org.
All right.
Wow. I just want to say that I'm one of many people that helped get wholehearted.org off the ground. There's a whole team of very dedicated people, including my business partners who've been involved with this for over a decade. So it's not just me. I'm just the one that most of the authors and speakers happen to work with, but there's a lot of people that make this happen.
Well, thank you for being the person who's spearheading it, putting it all together. I know what that is like. I can relate. And it's a beautiful thing that you've created. And I'm just so excited as I get to know you and your different presenters. And I want to acknowledge that you put together a special video just for us tonight. So I'm about to play it, but tell us a little bit about what we're about to see.
So this is actually the beginning of Gabor Mate's exclusive course with us from Healing Trauma and Addiction. This is intended for individuals and families. We've never released it to the public before. It's a newer program. So it's about 10 minutes of it just starting, and people can watch it. And if it speaks to them, I'm happy to answer some questions or point them in the direction where they can learn more.
Great. Thank you very much. And let's hear what Gabor Mate has to say.
The clearer you are, the clearer we are about your own intention for whatever we do, the more focused our work is going to be. Number one. Number two, very few of us, especially in our families, have the experience of just listening to somebody without an agenda. When we listen to each other, usually we're already thinking about what we're going to answer and how, and we become caught up on our own emotional reactions. I'm going to recommend that one of the things you'll learn today is to listen to one another with absolutely agendaless attention. And that means whoever you are in the family and whoever you're talking to, make it a practice to just really have the other person download whatever's on their mind, and you just listen without judging it, without reacting to it, without taking it personally, just from the point of view of we want to get what's in the other person's mind. And that's the kind of attention that is very difficult for us as human beings to offer to one another. And as much as possible, just notice your own reactions today. So when I talk about stuff, or when you hear somebody else talk about stuff, notice how you react emotionally inside. In other words, what I'm suggesting is be at least as curious about your own reactions to things as you are about what is being said and who's saying it. Whatever your intentions are in coming here, and some of you may have come because of somebody else. You may think you're here because somebody in the family's got a problem and you're here to help them, or you're here to promote their healing. But what I'll be telling you throughout the day is that actually each one of us is here for ourselves. And that there's no healing in the individual without actually involving the whole family in that. Now, what I mean by that, it will become clear later. The first thing you have to get out of the way is the issue of blame. Now, blame shows up in two ways. And in addicted families, when I say addicted families, I mean in a family where there's addiction, two kinds of blame happens. One is blaming the other person. So the family members may blame the identified addict. You're creating all these problems for us. Your behavior is imposing all this suffering on us. What you're doing and how you're living your life is making our life so difficult. Stop it. That's the blame that goes to that person. The person who is struggling with the addiction may also have blame towards the family. He or she might say, you guys are trying to control me. You never understood me. It's because of some of the stuff that you did that I've developed my addiction. In other words, there's a blame going towards
Absolutely.
other members of the family.
Absolutely.
So one blame, one form of blame is directed towards the other person.
Responsibility.
The other form of blame is directed towards the self. And that's what we call shame. Now, at the heart of all addictions, there's tremendous shame. The addicted individual or individuals, whether they admit it or not, are really ashamed of themselves. Ashamed for how they live their lives, for how they hurt other people, how they let down people that love them, maybe how they lied to them or cheated on them or cheated them out of something. And certainly I can tell you that when I was in my own addicted behaviors, I lied and I cheated. That's what I did. So there's plenty of reason why the addicted individual would be blaming themselves. And in turn, the families, or if you're a parent, for example, of an adult child who has become addicted, you might have a lot of shame as well. Because you might feel, certainly as I have, that as a parent, you let your kid down. It's because of you that they become addicted. It's your fault. You have a lot of shame around that. So the addiction imposed shame or blame can go in two directions, and often it goes in both directions at the same time, towards the other person or towards yourself. And it's not helpful. In either direction, it's not helpful. We have this expression in English that says you should be ashamed of yourself. Well, examine that for a moment. Should anybody be ashamed of their selves? I might be ashamed of what I did. If I promised to come and give you a course here today, and then for whatever reason, I stood you up, I didn't show up, or I came very late, I should be experiencing some healthy shame. But that's not a shame about the self. It's a shame of something that I've done. And that's a good thing to own. Yes, I did that. It's my responsibility. I can't deny that. But that's not the same as being ashamed of one's self. Nobody should be ashamed of one's self. And there's a distinction between being ashamed of what you do and what you've done and who you are and what you are. What I'll be telling you a little while is that at the core of addiction, there's a deep sense of shame about the self. And very often, there's a deep sense of shame in the whole family, in that the whole family may feel that the outside world, if they knew what was going on, would really judge them harshly, and they're ashamed of that. So shame shows up in all kinds of ways, and it's a barrier to self-knowledge, because when we're ashamed, we're inclined to protect and to hide. In fact, you know what? You know the expression, I just wanted to sink into the ground. When you're ashamed, it means you want to disappear so people won't see you. So shame automatically invites a kind of self-protection and a hiding and a denial. When I was engaging in my addictive behaviors, and my wife was telling me, well, just tell me. Just tell me. I mean, just tell me what's going on. Tell me what you're doing. And she'd be asking me. She said, I won't bug you about it. I just want to know. And in my case, it was shopping. I may talk about that later. But just tell me. And even though she's inviting me to tell her, I wouldn't, because I was so ashamed of it. I was so ashamed of myself. So shame invites dishonesty and denial, and at the same time, it puts up a barrier to self-examination. So the first thing I want to encourage here is to look at any shame that you carry, whether you're the identified addict or you're with a family member, or any blame you have towards the other person, and just for today, put it aside if you can. If you want to go back to your shame and self-blame or blaming others tomorrow morning, you're welcome, okay? But for this morning, just put it aside. And put it aside because it's not going to help you. And so let's just talk about addiction a little bit and what addiction is and what it isn't. And I believe that if we can look at it in a new way, it might help everybody to let go of that shame. So what is addiction? The common view of addiction, the socially held view of addicted people and addiction, is that it's some kind of a choice. That you're choosing to behave this way. You're choosing to behave this way because you're a bad person, or because you're not smart enough, or because you don't have willpower. Somehow you're not adequate. And so you're choosing to behave in certain ways which are harmful to you, harmful to your family, maybe harmful to society. The way we deal with it is, number one, we try to prevent it by telling people not to make that choice. And number two, if they do make that choice, then we punish them. Now, how do you punish people? Usually by ostracization, by separating from them. And in this society, that begins very early. So when kids are 2 years old and they throw a tantrum, the parents are often taught to practice timeout. And timeout means you can't be with me right now. I have to separate from you right now. You can't be in my presence. That's what a timeout means. And parents are told this is how you educate a 2-year-old about what behavior is acceptable. And the assumption is that the 2-year-old is making some kind of a choice. And if you punish them severely enough, they will not make that choice. And the way you punish them is you deny them contact with you. So we call that timeout. It's very damaging. I can talk about that later, but that's what we do. Now, when you become an adult, we have another form of timeout, and we call that jail. So that now you can't be with us. You're going to be away from society. You're not acceptable. You're not good enough. And we're going to have to punish you to teach you not to behave that way. But it's the same idea. And the idea is that we ostracize you. You can't be with us for a certain period of time. We separate from you. That's the idea of choice. And then when you believe that it's a choice, then you have a certain idea of how to prevent addiction. And how you prevent addiction is by telling people how bad it is.
Thank you so much for sharing that opening segment. And I want to go to on screen. What I'm imagining is that this is where they can get the entire course. And again, if you go to wholehearted.org, wholehearted.org, and here it is. And there's TJ, one of his programs, looking at the slider, the different things that they're offering, and Gabor Mate, a masterclass for healers. AJ, is there anything you want to share about your website and specific places that we should lead people to?
Yes. Just to clarify, so what we just saw is actually called Healing, Trauma, and Addiction. A masterclass for healers is a professional training that Gabor offers on our website. But the clip that you just saw is from Healing, Trauma, and Addiction. It's for individuals and families. It's 8 episodes. It's 6.5 hours long. It's available on our website for $99, but we have financial assistance and scholarships for anybody who needs it. So if you reach out to us, help@wholehearted.org, or click the contact us form, we'll help you. If you can afford to pay the full price, that would be helpful for us. It is a not-for-profit program, so it is subsidized by us and by Gabor Mate. So our goal is to get as many people as we can into the program. There's also continuing education for professionals if they want to take the professional version of it. But I just updated it so it's right on the homepage of the website if anybody wants to go and see it. But it is a very expansive and in-depth program on trauma and addiction. And it's Gabor's definition of addiction, which is any behavior. So not just drugs or alcohol. So it can be eating, workaholism, shopaholism, hoarding. It's all the same as far as his perspective. And he walks you and your family through the program, through understanding this and improving communication and having a much deeper understanding about why we behave the way we behave, and looking at that through compassion so that we can actually heal one another instead of blaming one another.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, AJ. We're going to be seeing more of AJ, of course, next Friday night on Straight Talk. And we're already talking about doing a whole wonderful weekend together of programs. So thank you so much, AJ. Welcome to the Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe family.
Thank you. Can I just say that I'm so impressed with all of the talent and all the commitment. Almost everyone here except for TJ and Roland and Scott are new to me, and I'm just having a great time watching everyone. You're all fantastic. Thank you for including me.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for being with us. It's good to have you with us. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we have a lot more ahead of us tonight. We still recognize we're running a little bit late, but we still have some video snippets from my interview with Reverend Michael Beckwith. We've got some Russell Brand. We've got Annie Rogers. We've got more music from Johanna and Valerie. So stay with us. Strap on your seatbelts. Have a little caffeinated tea because we still got a lot more to share with you tonight. It is time for the Global Peace Tribe announcements. And first thing I want to do is just welcome all of you who are watching. And a reminder that those of you that are on Facebook or on YouTube, you can still join us. We still got a lot of show ahead of us. And so please consider going to www.globalpeacetribe.com, and register. And that's where you can really discover all the wonderful things that we're providing, and we're providing a lot. We're adding more and more events. You're going to hear about some of the new events coming up. So we really want you to join us. Please do that. Please, please, please. Also want to thank all of our broadcast partners. You know, so many of you are watching us on different mediums in different ways. So we want to thank our Global Peace Tribe broadcast partners. And always I like to start with Unify, because that's where the majority of people watch us. Last week we had 40,000 views on Unify and growing. And so many of them are from people all around the world. A lot of people watching us. So thank you to our friends at Unify. And we also always want to thank John and Summer Raymer from the Sign Network. They're going to be our special guests on my Straight Talk show on June 18th. And they help us reach about 100 different Facebook pages. Our good buddy Alan Steinfeld with New Realities, he's going to be on the show next week. You'll hear about that in a minute. So he always carries us. Of course, Light Touch is our ongoing, every episode supporter and sometimes sponsor. And then all the other places that carry us. New Earth One, my organization, Love Coach Academy, Earth Dance, Humanities Team, Portal to Ascension, Disclosure Fest Foundation, Global Days of Unity, Earthwalk, and the Enlightened World Network. Thank you, everybody, so much for carrying us. And hey, if you're interested in helping to support us, to sponsor us, if you've got a broadcast network, that's how we met Sherry Anderson. That's how we met Ruth Anderson of Enlightened World Network. They were watching us, they liked the show, they reached out to us, and now they're part of the tribe. So come be part of the tribe. I also want to thank everybody who has donated so far to tonight's fundraising event, the Warrior Resilience Training. We've raised $412. Let's get up to at least 1,000. So please, everybody, be generous. Go to the GoFundMe. Deborah is consistently putting it into the chat box. And I want to thank those of you who have donated, including a lot of anonymous. But thank you, Susan, Lori, Lynette, TJ, our own TJ. God bless you, TJ. Adrian, Debbie Johnston, our producer. Thank you, everybody, for donating. And please continue to do that. I also am going to be putting forward a poll a little bit later tonight, but I want you to all think about this because it's an important announcement. We're noticing that most of our following is in North America. And so we're moving more and more into springtime, more and more into summer, and it's staying light out later. And we're noticing that we still have the same overall number of people watching the show, but people tend to be joining us later. So we're considering starting the show 1 hour later at 7:00 p.m. Pacific time, 10 o'clock Eastern. It would still be a 2.5 hour show with an early show and an after show. And tonight we're going to have quite an after show because there's a lot that we still want to share with you. So we're curious how many people would like for us to keep it at 6 o'clock starting time and who would like to see us move it to a 7 o'clock starting time. And I'll be putting a poll out there. Frankly, I had the poll ready and I accidentally deleted it just before we started these announcements. So I'll rebuild it and put it out there to everybody. But please, we want to hear from you. We're here to be of service to you. And speaking of being of service, I want to turn it over to my co-host, my producing partner, the magnificent Deisree.
Thank you, Scott. And what a great show. You know, Scott and I have these little inklings of ideas, and we both get a yes in our hearts. And then these ideas take root and they grow, and then it attracts all these amazing presenters and musicians. And voila, you have what happened tonight, which is so heartful, so valuable, so amazing. So thank everyone, thank Great Spirit for what's been emerging in Saturday Night Alive. And we are going to do it again. We're going to grow season 6, an incredible mix, and we'd love your support. Know that when you sign up, you can donate to us, and that's how we get the green love from you and put it into our shows and put it in. And we also have a GoFundMe. So that's a lot of times in our emails. You can always donate there. Also, if you'd like to be a sponsor for season 6 coming up, like Scott said, we've learned and come across some of our incredible sponsors just from people connecting with us on the show. So please do connect with us if you'd like to be a part. Also, if you'd like to volunteer, we're going to do some really incredible social media campaigns out there. So if you have a social media superpower, we have 2 really amazing experts in social media that have agreed to donate to help us as long as they have a team that they can train and move forward. So if you'd like some training in social media and you'd like to help us, I'm going to put a volunteer form in the chat box so that you can sign up for it. Also, please spread the word about the show. You know, word of mouth is golden. That's the best way that people know that it's a good show and they can want to participate in it. So I'm going to put some links in the chat room that you can put out in your email or your social media. We also have our promotional trailer that's really fun and shares about all the incredible presenters and musicians that we've had. Also, what you can do is you can pay it forward. If you'd like to get a subscription for a friend of yours, a beloved, a family member, and surprise them and turn them on to the show, I'm going to put a link in the chat box for pay it forward. And also, we always have these in our emails when we send out a replay email on Monday. Then on Wednesday, you get what's coming up new. And then we give you a reminder on Saturday morning. So all these ways to help us if you feel called, we'd love it, because we're committed to help you and help the world and keep this growing and glowing. So thank you so much. And talk about amazing shows. We've got something spectacular again for you next week. And Scott has put together an amazing video to show you what it's all about.
Great. Thank you, Deborah.
We have tackled many strange stories on 60 Minutes, but perhaps none like this. It's the story of the U.S. government's grudging acknowledgement of unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, more commonly known as UFOs. After decades of public denial, the Pentagon now admits there's something out there, and the U.S. Senate wants to know what it is. The Intelligence Committee has ordered the Director of National Intelligence and the Secretary of Defense to deliver a report on the mysterious sightings by next month.
The story will continue in a moment.
What an extraordinary time this is. We are living in a time in human history when more of us, our beautiful great global peace tribe, are having contact and connection with angels, aliens, galactic family, archetypes. It's happening. And it's also happening in the external world. Government disclosure is taking place. And so as a result, of course, Saturday Night Alive is doing a really special program on May 29th, all about making contact with our galactic family and each other. And of course, our co-host, our executive producer for the show is Mark Sims, who brought you the Harmonic Convergence 2020. And we will conclude this amazing evening with Mark Sims leading a CE6. That's a close encounter of the sixth kind for all of us to participate in. Also, our good friend Alan Steinfeld from New Realities Television. We've got Whitley Streiber joining us live, and he wrote the book Communion and has been involved in this for so long. And Danny Sheehan, who probably knows as much as anybody about what's going on with government disclosure. Our other guests include Jimmy Blanchett, Bridget Nielsen, John Yost, the delightful Zen Kakaro, Bruce Sugar, who produced some of Mark's wonderful videos that you've seen. And we've got, as our musical support, Fanny Sturchild and Brigari Sendar. So join us on Saturday night, May 29th, for a very special edition of Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe.
With your hosts, Scott Katamas and Deborah Giusti. Along with author Alan Steinfeld, who is celebrating May 4th with the release of his new book, Making Contact, The New Realities of Extraterrestrial Existence. And the executive producer of Making Contact Day, Mark Sims. Join us as we make history live on Zoom.
Yeah, you know, we've been doing shows from the very beginning on this topic. Most of you know that I was producing UFO-oriented television back in the 90s, and it's happening. You know, the the Senate request and kind of the budget demand that some disclosure takes place is really something. And whether or not, we'll see what the government really acknowledges. Danny Sheehan, who's going to be on the show with us next week, who's right in on the middle of what's really going on because he's the attorney representing some of the people you saw in 60 Minutes last week. So he knows what's happening. And the government may punt and ask for more time. That's why it's up to all of us to come together, recognize that we all are having amazing experiences, whether it's with galactic family or spiritual teachers or angels or archetypes. The more we can acknowledge our experiences, the more it becomes safe for us to have those experiences. So do join us next week. It's going to be a really beautiful show. And I'm really proud of it. Also want to just remind everybody of our final shows of this season. I'm going to just briefly go through them with you. There it is. We've got a brain fitness show on June 5th. It's going to be all about the connection between our brain, our body, with doctors and leading experts helping us to understand ways we can optimize our physical experience. June 12th is going to be a gas. We're having so much fun putting this show together. It's all about celebrating the 60s and how the 60s are still influencing us today. And we're also going to be celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the completion of the first round of the Health and Harmony Festival, also known as Harmony Festival. That's what Deborah Giusti created for over 30 years. She did it. And it was always the second weekend of June. So we're going to celebrate that. June 19th, we've got Matt Kahn joining us as a keynote speaker, and we're going to be collaborating with World Unity Week. It's a very powerful week with people from all over the world coming together, and we're really excited that we're going to be kind of kicking that week off on the 19th and then completing it on the 26th. And on the 26th, once again, our Mystic Abbot, Jerry Anderson, will be co-sponsoring along with Jay Mayer. And it's going to be all about spiritual wisdom from around the world. So please join us for all those shows. All right, I did create another poll. And so this is all about whether or not we should start at a later time. And we really want to hear from all of you. So you've got 4 options there. Please stay at 6 o'clock. A bit later would be great, 6:30. Yes, later would be helpful, 7 o'clock. Or I will be there no matter when it starts. And whatever your choice is, we want to hear it because what you have to say matters to us. And it looks like a pretty strong to stay at 6 o'clock. So 57% stay at 6, 10%, 6:30, 16%, 7. And I love that 24% that'll be there no matter when. All right. Thank you. These polls are helpful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. What do we got next? My gosh, I lost track. I was so busy making the poll. What's next is we have an amazing video. You guys, I want to invite everybody to get ready to get up and dance. Mystic Abbot Jerry, I know you're going to be up and dancing to this one. I'm imagining TJ might get up and dance too. When they played this song for me, this is no hyperbole. I am going to go on record as saying this is as wonderful a video as we have ever played on this show. Jay Mayer, I hope you're watching because you're going to love this one. It is our beloveds, Johanna and Valerie. I'm going to play the video and then we'll pop the camera on them and talk to them for a moment. Here is, let's all drop into some happiness together.
Superpower. Superpower. I choose happiness and happiness chooses me. I live in happiness for all.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. That's just like, what an amazing song. It's just, so if you tell us a little bit about how you created that together.
Well, Valerie and I started co-writing pre-pandemic in New York when I was on tour, and that we've been sharing a lot of that magic with you guys. It's been amazing. But during the pandemic, as you know, we were very prolific from overseas practically. Like I'm in the West Coast, she's in the East Coast, and we're Zooming all the time. And this is one of the birthings. Because Valerie had an amazing best-selling book that she and the other singer in there, Shannon, wrote. Here you go, Valerie. The mic is all yours. Would you like to tell them about this incredible project that you asked me to co-write a song about?
Yeah, well, we were, can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so Johanna and I, we had a few songs under our belt, and we were really trying to bring through these messages that were so important to us and have the songs be almost like little teachings of things that we were working on and that were coming through. And Shannon and I were both part of a book on happiness, and it was called 25 Tools for Happiness. It has a longer title, but that was, and she wrote a chapter and I wrote a chapter, and we happened to be in the same band. She's in my band, the Starlight Orchestra. And there was a book launch party. And I had the idea to do a little performance on the book launch and write a song about happiness. And I was playing in my studio and I was coming up with some ideas and I had all the music. But Johanna and I were having so much fun writing and it was just really flowing that I said, let's, Johanna, you want to write this song with me? And she's like, okay, sure. And we really, one session kind of really banged it out because it was really this idea of the law of attraction. It's what you think about. It's what you put out is what you attract to yourself. So that's why just happiness is, it's just so front and center in the song. I choose happiness, so happiness chooses me. And the idea is really that it's what we think about, it's what we create, and the fact that it is a superpower, because when we want to put ourselves in that vibration, it's just so. It was really exciting. And then we invited Shannon to come sing it in my studio. And then she wound up having some ideas as well and added some things. So it was a beautiful collaboration. And we had so much fun doing it. And we have not played it live yet. This is
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Now that I'm back on tour, you might see me soon. Who knows?
That's good.
I want to be there when you guys play that live. But thank you. I tell you, I'm going to play this video just for myself because it's such a catchy tune, and it's perfect for this show because as much as we can, for those of us that are going through times in our life where we're blessed and we're in awareness of being blessed, let's take that happiness and then use it to feed the world while having compassion for those that are not in touch with it the way that we're blessed to be in touch with it. So I want to just again let people know how they can get more of each of you. For Johanna, go to johannasings.com/offerings. And as you saw before, she's got a lot going on. For Valerie, go to her website, which is ValerieRomanoffMusic.com. ValerieRomanoffMusic.com. Get some of her, she's got stuff available on Amazon. She's got workshops. Remember, you can go still, chill, or thrill with Valerie. And I also want to acknowledge their friend Shannon, who also did a fantastic job. We'll have to figure out a way to get Shannon onto the show sometime, but we want to honor her. So to know a little bit more about Shannon, I'm quickly going to that website you just sent me. It is Heal with Shannon. Heal with Shannon. HEALWITH, Shannon, SHANNONE. There's an E at the end there. Heal with Shannon, E at the end. And it looks like she's got a lot going on too. So, and guess what? We're going to have another video from these ladies. We're not done with you yet. So everybody stick around to the show. We've got another really beautiful video. I got a chance to see it earlier. And to tell us all about our next presenter, here's Deborah.
Thanks, Scott. And now we're going to bring up a powerhouse woman in the field of addiction and recovery. From an early age, Ann Rogers was helping people discover their own power to heal and achieve. And she was into transactional analysis. And early on, she worked nationally in over 150 cities to train others to help be their best. And while she was a patient at Dr. Hitt's clinic in Mexico, she learned about a new treatment that had great success in helping people with addiction. It was NAD+. So she was so passionate about that potential. She recruited physicians to help develop clinics where people could experience NAD treatment as a strategy for brain restoration and quicker, more effective detox. And she's been working very successfully in this for a long time. I know her personally. She's tireless. She's on it. She's amazing. Welcome, Ann Rogers.
Thank you. Thank you. I know that some of you in recovery may have heard of NAD before. My experience was when I was at the HIT Center in Mexico, I knew a lot of celebrities had gone down there to detox off of alcohol and opiates. And we didn't really know what was in the bag. All I knew is that I wanted to do it, but it was very expensive. So I wanted to do it because of my dad had Alzheimer's, my grandmother, I had very bad ADD, and for restoring your brain, it was really amazing. Well, I was a part of a clinic in San Diego, and I said, let's go down there and see if we can bring this treatment over. So we did. We brought the IV NAD therapy to California for the first time. And my godson was a heroin addict. He was 20 years old. I watched without any drugs at all, just NAD. I watched him detox off of heroin and turn into a completely different human being right in front of my eyes, and stay sober for months in sober living and transform. I was so blown away that I found myself getting rid of everything else I was doing in my life and dedicating myself just to the NAD therapy and to the detox that it can create. And that was 11 years ago. And since then, we have never had a seizure. We've detoxed hundreds of people, cold turkey, alcohol, heroin, you name it, never had a seizure. And we find that it restores their brain to where now they can quickly think about recovery, think about personal growth, think about changing habits, changing lifestyle, beginning their spiritual journey. And for us, we never thought of it as anything other than their NAD level. When it rises up, they become like a fully present person. They're able to really think their way through recovery. So I made a video back, 8 years ago or something. This is before it started to get out there. And what I wanted to say is that the reason why this has really not been something to spread widely is because it's incredibly expensive. So that was really the thing that I found the most disturbing about it, is that we use 9,000 milligrams of NAD. It's 60 hours of IV time. It's over 10 days. And yes, it's extraordinary. And yes, we can take someone out of severe, the detox. We can make it very, very smooth and very quick. The problem is nobody can do it. So it's not something that everybody could adapt to. However, recently, I was contacted by a pharmacy in Beverly Hills that discovered that if you make the NAD fresh daily, which they do, and you freeze it, see, this is a frozen NAD that was made fresh, and you apply it transdermally. Now, the difference is NAD before has been transdermal, but it's not very powerful. It won't detox anybody, that's for sure. But with this patch, she sent it, she said, try it out. And I go, what the heck, right? And 6 patches into this, I said to myself, I'm never doing IV therapy again. And that's after doing it full time for 11 years. So with detoxing people, and we've been having an amazing experience with alcohol, opiates, Suboxone, the whole 9 yards. Now, of course, there's many factors that need to go into detox: the environment, who you're with, the support, their aftercare. This is not recovery. This is restoration to get you to a place where you can begin your recovery. This is detox. But the breakthrough news is that now it's something that treatment centers can adapt. People who have detoxed already and are in recovery, they can maintain a higher level of, it knocks out cravings is one of the main things. And craving, we know, is a major reason for people to relapse, is the craving. So in a very short period of time, we can knock out cravings, we can minimize withdrawal. And so it's new technology that's really landed here. Not that very many people really know how to do it correctly, but now that we have a new method, we're learning how to use it. It's going to take a little while. But Scott, if you'll play the video, I want to show you a video that was made many years ago. And this is just IV NAD. So you'll get an idea of how powerful it is.
Felt this way since I was 20 years old. I just feel great. I have all this energy.
I absolutely feel like a new person.
It's brand new. I'm like looking at life with a new pair of eyes, you know. It's great.
I've been a nurse in the field of addiction for the past 7 years. The detox process is unbelievable. I've seen opiates, benzo addicts, alcoholics, amphetamine users, all of the above detox in a outpatient setting with minimal discomfort.
I'm on day 7 and I haven't felt like this in 12, 13 years.
People who are so debilitated, who come in ultimately so stressed, just in the period of 10 days, become new human, become new people. It's unbelievable to see them become just someone else. I don't, or what they used to be prior to 20 years of drug usage. There's no words that you can put to describe it.
I was on painkillers for 12, 13 years and pretty much convinced myself I was nocturnal. And since I've been on this, I have a normal sleeping habit. I was really happy about that. I find myself singing to myself. I've never done that. Just real positive attitude since about day 3. Everything just started spinning around. When I came here and they were telling me you think better and see colors clear, and I was like, yeah, and I'll have super speed and flight and won't be bothered by kryptonite. And then I kind of kicked myself because I was wrong and they were right. And this has actually been a real turning point for me. I don't know how to praise this any more than that.
The agony is not there in the actual detoxing, but the end result is even more beautiful. And that is that you get clarity of mind like you've never, ever experienced if you have a long-term addiction.
My mind is clearer than it's been in 30 years. I'm 63 years old. My mind is clearer than it's ever been in 30 years.
And the 3rd day, he was like, I don't want pills anymore. I have no desire. And then day 4, and he was like, I could see his personality coming back. You know, because pills will do that. Whatever, alcohol, whatever you take, it will change your personality.
Last 20 years, I was a heroin addict. I have overdosed twice. I have been detoxed 10 different times. I have been to uncountable amounts of rehabs, more than the 10 times that I had been detoxed. I had used methadone for 3 years. I used the drugs over it. I tried Suboxone for 2 years, wound up using the drug over it. I never could get rid of my addiction due to my cravings, the overwhelming craving voices in my head. Since I've used the Brain Restoration Plus, I have not had a craving. I have not used. It's been 1.5 years, and I believe my mind gets stronger by the day from it.
I just can't explain how miraculous the treatment was. I have no cravings whatsoever. I'm happy. I'm not depressed. I've suffered from anxiety and depression since I was a teenager.
I see the brightness in their eyes light up. It's like the light is on. They're back.
And he's positive. He's himself. He's back.
10 little days. That's it.
Wow.
So this new tool, I would say, NAD available through a patch, and I'm not speaking of NAD online that's available through a patch. It's a live NAD, I call it, because it's fresh and it's bioactive, and it really is a major tool in everyone's toolkit who's dealing with addiction or dealing with someone with addiction. It's also good for the people dealing with people with addiction because it's an anti-aging product. It's natural, occurs in our body naturally, and it declines with age. So we just found that especially alcoholics, they have a very low NAD level. You raise their NAD level, now they don't crave alcohol. And it's just part of an overall program. It's not the end goal, it's just part of a program. And so that's what I wanted to share with you. If you have more information, we're just setting up the new website, nadtherapy.com. And you can email us at info@nadtherapy.com. And we will be discovering more and more about how to use this new technique with the patches, but now it's affordable to everybody instead of just people with $10,000. So.
And, you know, I've known Ann for decades. We first met in the mid-90s, and she's always been doing amazing cutting edge stuff. But you've really hit a home run this time, Ann. Thank you so much for your dedication, because I know you've been really dedicated to supporting people going through the absolute horror and challenge of addiction and providing the best possible recovery. And now to come up with something that is so affordable and so effective. Congratulations. I mean, this is a real gift to the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
And you'll be seeing more Annie on our show for sure, because we're going to definitely want to follow through on all that you're learning and discovering. I don't know whose music that is. It sounds like God is coming in and joining.
Yes.
Yeah, it's on Ann's end, so I muted you, Ann. I love you, but I muted you. Only for now. So for all of our people watching, because just the way the show goes sometimes, we are about a half an hour overtime. So I am going to show the wonderful Russell Brand videos and the Michael Beckwith videos during our after show. We're going to kind of wrap up tonight's show. We've got a few things left. Of course, our Global Peace Tribe recommends. And then stick around for the after show, where we're going to hear from Reverend Michael Beckwith. We're going to hear from Russell Brand. We're going to play that Austin Willisty.
Michael Beckwith and Russell Brand.
And somebody needs to mute. Whoever that was. We always encourage our panelists, please remember to mute, and that's why. So, with no further ado, we're going to go into the Global Peace Tribe Recommends section of our show. So here we go. And stick around, everybody, because we've got some really good stuff ahead still.
And we're so happy to bring you some new programs that are birthed from Saturday Night Alive. On June 6th, we are going to be featuring some of our favorite musicians. And you can see tonight we have excellent music. Kristen Hoffman and Cornflower working together to create an experience musical concert. If you know, they are very experienced in beatboxing and channeling from source their music. So they are going to work together, have an experiential concert, and share what the process is to tune into spirit and let creativity come through you. It's going to be amazing. It's Sunday, June 6th, 1 p.m. PST. And we're going to show a short video about it right now. Incredible. So please sign up with us. I posted in the chat room how you can sign up. We always put it in our newsletters that we send out. It's going to be a very heartful, very deep, creative, and very fun experience. And as synchronicity would have it, we decided to do this show. And in just a few weeks, there's going to be a 7-day Talks on Trauma featuring Gabor Mate and the release of the new film, The Wisdom of Trauma. This is being produced by SANS producer, Maurizio Bonazio, and this is happening June 8th through 14th. Along with Gabor Mate, it's gonna have another, lots of other incredible people on these topics: Peter Levine, Thomas Hubble, Dan Siegel, Stanislav Grof, and about 15 other people. And this is free. This is a 7-day offering with the film Wisdom of Trauma. And we have a trailer to show you right now.
In the US, the richest society in history, fully half of the citizens have a chronic disorder such as high blood pressure or diabetes. Anxiety amongst young people is growing rapidly. Asthma and autoimmune diseases are on the rise, as are addictions. Depression is rising. Youth suicide is rising. All is not well.
I started heroin at 26. That's what really destroyed me. It just takes the pain away.
It's easy to want to escape reality completely instead of coping with it.
And so the question is, can we be human beings in the midst of civilization? Because what we call civilization demands the denial of human needs.
Please welcome Dr. Gabor Mate.
Every human being has a true, genuine, authentic self. And the trauma is that disconnection from it, and the healing is the reconnection with it. Why do we get disconnected? Because it's too painful to be ourselves.
So you sort of a bit like in The Matrix when Neo sees everything's made out of numbers. You look at people and you see all their trauma and damage.
That's what I see. So trauma is not the bad things that happen to you, but what happens inside you as a result of what happens to you. What do you want to tell me? What comes up right now?
Shame.
Thank you.
My father, he would spank us and take a belt to us.
Who did you speak to about your pain?
Nobody.
Yeah, that's the trauma. In other words, by the time you're 5 years old, you're completely alone. People are much more lonely and isolated than they used to be. Literally, it causes inflammation in the body and suppresses the immune system. You've been diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Correct.
In my view, people that develop cancer have a hard time expressing healthy anger.
Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump, there were two traumatized people fighting to govern a traumatized world.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And these are the people that our society rewards with power. Our schools are full of kids with learning difficulties, mental health issues that are trauma-based, but the average teacher never gets a single lecture on trauma. We need trauma-informed medical care, trauma-informed education. If we had a trauma-informed society, we'd have a society that looks much more compassionate.
You did. You made a difference in my life.
Thank you for being in touch.
I don't feel like I'm a bad person anymore.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I just want people to see the truth. Solutions arise out of people when they confront themselves with the truth, when they're not afraid of the truth.
I think the biggest thing that this whole healing journey has taught me is how to be human.
So you can see this is going to be an amazing journey. 7 days, it's free, showing of the film and all sorts of speakers. This is amazing. You know, these are the times where everything that's been hidden is coming up to be revealed and healed. And this is really happening for so many now. This is time for this. Really amazing. So I put the link in the chat box. It will be in our newsletter. You'll see it on Deborah Recommends, Harmony Connects, and all my newsletters. We're going to really promote it strongly so everyone that needs to be a part of this and get this incredible information can join. So, and we have one more thing to offer. Russell Brand does his own recovery workshop, and it's Recovery with Russell Brand. He goes into everything he's been through, and it's all kinds of levels of anywhere from feeling unsatisfied, limited, empty, to really having severe addictions and how to overcome them. It's a free offering. So if you want to experience Russell Brand, I'm going to post that in the chat room too, and you can experience him live. So thank you. And Scott, you have a few more incredible offerings to share.
I do. You know, it's we are just adding more and more opportunities to come together to connect, and I'm excited about the ones. First off, want to remind you one last time, please join us tomorrow morning. Now that you've had a chance to see our wonderful wild Mystic Abbott and to meet Leland and to hear again from Johanna, imagine, come on into our Zoom room. Now you can always watch live on Facebook. You can find the Facebook feed on Love Coach Academy or Scott Katamas or Deborah Giusti. But really, we love to encourage people to come into the Zoom room. And tomorrow we are going to take questions from people. I know that Johanna and Jerry and Leland all have a lot to offer. And I noticed that there was some questions coming in the chat box today. Even one of our regulars was asking, well, what about hoarding? What about the compulsion of the behavior of hoarding? So we'll tackle that and other questions. So join us tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern time for Sunday. And then again, next Friday night, again, so we can go deeper and deeper, we're going to be having 3 of the people that you've met tonight. It's going to be a chance to really get to know wholehearted.org much more fully. And so we'll be talking at length with TJ Woodward, really helping us to understand, what does conscious recovery really mean? How do we do that? And recognizing that all of us are in recovery and all of us want to be more conscious. And so he has a wonderful set of tools to really help us work that. And you met Roland, he's beautiful, and he's going to be sharing his wisdom. And then AJ is also going to be joining us. So please, next Friday night, May 28th at 7:30 p.m., we want you to join us. And the very last thing that I want to announce, I don't have a poster, I don't have a video, just me announcing. Do you miss touching people? Do you miss being able to watch musicians while we're cuddled up on the couch, maybe doing yoga together? It's going to happen. We are going to have 3 combination retreats. It's a combination of Global Peace Tribe, Love Coach Academy, and Light Touch, kind of bringing all these worlds together with not 1, not 2, but 3 retreats starting in July. July 15th to the 19th, we're going to be at my dear friend's beautiful home temple called Skywood Temple. It's in Woodside, California, way up above Stanford University, just about halfway between San Jose Airport and San Francisco Airport. So you can fly into any of those airports. It's going to be a powerful 4-day retreat, primarily focusing on our relationships to ourself, and our relationship to each other. And we're going to have some of your favorite Global Peace Tribe musicians there. We're going to do dance and music every night. We're going to do yoga in the morning. And we're going to have some of our favorite teachers doing relationship stuff July 15 to 19 in Northern California. That particular retreat, it's going to be primarily camping style, but there's a beautiful big swimming pool, hot tub, indoor sauna, and immediately you can go over walks into the redwoods from his home, and we'll really enjoy that. I've done several retreats there before. It's one of my favorite places on the planet. So July 15 to 19, put in your calendars. We're going to limit it to 35 people, so it'll fill up. And next week, I will have the link of how to register and more details, but put it in your calendars, July 15 to 19. Then we are here today and gone to Maui. September 14 to 21, a week in paradise in Maui, and my beautiful friend Lori Grace's estate. Some of you remember, you saw she was on our environmental show. She did a video. We saw her estate. It's this incredible, sustainable retreat site, and it's gorgeous. It's on the jungle side of Maui. Now there is some camping, and there's also some really fancy rooms. It is going to be week long. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, but again, we're hoping to fly over some of our favorite Global Peace Tribe people. And of course, at all of our retreats, Jay will be there, and we'll be doing light touch with each other, which is really, really fun. Just think about light touch with each other. It's going to be sweet. So put those dates aside, September 14 to 21 in Maui, September 14 to 21 in Maui. And then finally, we want to acknowledge all of our East Coast friends. So we're going to be in Asheville, North Carolina. My good friends Avenita and Rajo have a beautiful retreat site in Asheville, and we will be there October 8th through the 11th. And we've timed that so it's the weekend before the Leaf Festival. The changing of the colors in that area, they're right near the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's gorgeous. And so you can come to our weekend retreat, hang out, and then go to the Leaf Festival the following weekend if you so wish. So put those dates down, plan on joining us. Hopefully we'll get some of our favorite musicians like Johanna and Valerie to come to at least one of these retreats. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So please do join us. So those are our Global Peace Tribe announcements. And I want to invite you to stick around. We are going to have quite an after show, but I'm going to bring my partner Deborah back up to kind of say an official good night. And also please continue to donate to Leland's organization. I want to thank all of you. I see that we're up at around $600. Let's get it up to 1,000, all right? So please, let's donate to that GoFundMe. And Deborah, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Yeah, every show like this just blows me away, blows the heart open, blows the spirit open, connects us all. We've got a lot of work to do, but we're all on the same page of what we want to heal and how we want to change this world. And we're all working together now. That's one of the beauties of these times, is we are connecting virtually all over and powerfully manifesting forward. And this show is a testimony to it. So love you all, appreciate all the wisdom of the presenters and my partner Scott for being committed to this topic.
Beautiful.
So much love.
Now we have a wonderful video with Johanna and Valerie that we're about to play, but I want to bring TJ on as our co-host. Where is TJ? There he is. Hey, TJ.
Thank you so much for a wonderful show. This has been such an honor.
Can you stick around for a few minutes to answer a few questions?
I would be delighted to, yes.
Great, all right. And I know that our Mystic Abbott, our sponsor for tonight's show, Jerry, you're going to stick around and share a little bit. And we're going to hear from Russell Brand. We're going to hear from Michael Beckwith. And anybody else, if you keep your cameras on, that means that I imagine if your camera's on after Johanna and Valerie's song, then I imagine you're going to stick with us for a little bit. And maybe we'll have some conversation and some dialogue. So with no further ado, I am really excited to share this amazing extra video that Valerie and Johanna put together for us. And here we go. And then I'll bring them back on right afterwards to talk about it.
Now is the time, and here is the place. I'll live my life, remembering my grace. We daydream our reality into existence. So be in positivity, be that we are free to choose our reality. We daydream our reality into existence. So be in positivity, be that we are free to choose our reality. Here I am here. Here I am here. All is here. All is now. All is here. All is now. All is now. Hey. Here I am now. I am here. 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 Shift this longing into belonging to my truest self. In the mirror, the view gets clearer. I see my sacred self. I forgive myself. I free myself. I trust myself. I respect myself. Yes, I give to myself. I love myself. I remember myself. And shift this longing to belonging to my truest self. I clean the mirror, the view gets clearer. I see my sacred self. I give myself, I free myself. I live my truth. I sag myself. Yes, I give. Clean the mirror, the view gets clearer. I see my sacred self. We can choose our reality. Thanks, Valerie. Groove into bliss. Bless you.
It's powerful. You know, as I was listening to it, I think what I'd love for us to do, and this is all spontaneous, is for those of us who are still here that want to participate, for us to tackle some of the topics, some of the conversation. We'll address maybe some questions that come in from the chat box. But I'd love to just open it up first to the four of us and anybody else that's, I see Leland, Debbie, Mystic, Mystic Abbott, Jerry, Annie, AJ, you're all still with us. So I'm going to remove the spotlights and just go to whoever wants to share about the message of that song, that we can choose our reality. And how do we do that? How do we do that in the face of challenge? So TJ, I'm going to kind of go to you first, but I also definitely want to create time for Valerie, Johanna, and anyone else who wants to share about that beautiful theme.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. It's so near and dear to my heart, and looking at how we can actually create our reality. And I have really been in an exploration over the past few years, really shifting the conversation. You know, we talk a lot about the law of attraction, that we attract, you know, our thoughts create reality, and we attract that. And I've really been shifting that in my own journey and in my work, from the law of attraction to the law of radiance, and looking at how we can actually radiate into the world and then change what we experience. A lot of times too, when we think about choosing our reality or changing our reality, we tend to talk about it as thought. And of course, we know that when we change our thinking, we change our reality. And yes, we do seem to attract different situations into our life. And I think there's something deeper happening too, and that is vibration and frequency. And so when we do the deeper work, and actually this is my third book that's coming out at the end of the year, it's looking at how we actually begin to clear away. You know, we talked a lot this evening about trauma, and making peace with the past. Forgiveness has come up, so that we can create a place within ourselves that we can really tap into inner wisdom and create our life from a much deeper place. You know, I think we're going to see a video from my wonderful friend, Michael Beckwith, who really has spent a lot of his work dedicated to visioning and how we vision our life. And basically what I'm saying is it's not just in the mind, that it really is about tapping into a much deeper place and receiving those powerful messages from our spiritual essence. And then we tune into that frequency, and then life begins to shift. You know, and this is the last thing I'll say, but I posted the other day, I said, I stopped trying to change the world and tuned into my own inner frequency. And then I watched the world change before my eyes, right? And so it's unplugging from believing that the world needs to change, tapping into a deeper vision. And when we tap into that deeper vision, not only is our own life so much better, more joy, more love, more connection, but we also then begin to make a profound difference on the planet. And I think that is really what we're shifting into right now. I think everything we've just gone through in the last year is providing us an opportunity to tap into that so that we can collectively make a difference.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, TJ.
Thank you, Scott.
Excellent. I'm putting the spotlight on Johanna and Valerie, because that song was just so perfect to kind of conclude the main show, but then to lead into the deeper. And first, I gotta say, your guitar, Valerie, you just play with such soul. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It really is so awesome. Thank you. And of course, Johanna, I'm totally in love with Johanna and her heart, her music, her voice. You know, those are my dogs barking. They're excited also. I'd love to hear from the two of you, not just about the inspiration of the song musically, but the inspiration of the song energetically, and how you both are living that in your lives, that the messages of that song.
Okay.
No, you go. We're so
Well,
polite.
okay. What I
Okay.
say is, it came. We were sitting and having a conversation. We were sharing angst. We were sharing things that we go through, and we started talking about the concept of really tuning into the fact that we have more power than we think we have. And we said, oh my God, we have to go right into the studio right now and write this and sing it. And it really just flowed. And I also want to say, I agree with TJ. It's not just the words and the thought, but to your point, all of it is vibration. And it's one of my favorite expressions, Esther Hicks, is we are vibrational beings in a vibrational universe. And so everything is that vibration, whether we're thinking it or saying it or singing it, but the other point you made is so true, is that whatever it is that we're feeling, that's what we're putting out in the world. And that's what we're adding to this collective. And Johanna and I were very, very aware of that when we were composing all of the songs, because it's our service, it's medicine. It's what of course, it's healing ourselves to bring it through, but then it's something that we can offer and share. Johanna, you want to say something about
So this is also very near and dear to my heart. I wrote a song when I was 16 called Free to Decide, Breathe, that choirs have bought all over the world and sung. And, it's an offering that's basically saying, take a moment to breathe. You can choose your reality. I mean, that's a pretty good mantra, to go through life with. Take a moment to breathe. This reality is not something you want to fight with. It is what it is, right? One of my teachers, Byron Katie, I was trained in the work of Byron Katie at 23, and it totally mind-blowingly changed my life, as things do, when we're open to spirit and we need a way, a pathway. And I had been coming out of addiction and all of those things at that time. And so her main focus is, let's just accept reality, and we can manifest our reality to be what it wants to be. And we don't need to fight when it's not what we want it to be, because it's going to be whatever our hearts desire it to be, if we choose to believe that. And so I've been so passionately kind of fixed on that manifestation mentality throughout my life. And it's really amazing when we co-create with reality what is possible, rather than thinking that reality is against us. When we're in the yoga of it, then we're able to find our groove and find a little bit more flexibility of mind, so to speak. The whole world opens up in a way that's just magnificent. However, the mind will do tricks on us, and that's where this song came from. So thank you, Valerie, for this offering. We were both in our heart moment, and we just a little tweak of our reality, so to speak, and this song was birthed. And that's what this is about, is, out of the most extreme pain can come the most profound enlightenment, if we allow that.
Beautiful. I love both of you so much. And I hope you stick around. I'm going to play a short Russell Brand video. It's very funny and it's very accurate. And I think that after this video, it will be fodder for good conversation. And I'm sure that Leland, AJ, Johanna, Valerie, Jerry, TJ, you may want to have something to say after we hear what Russell Brand has to say on the topic of how to deal with an addict or someone going through addiction. Take it away, Russell.
Do you have a family member that is an alcoholic or an addict and it's causing you a great deal of pain, and you're wondering, how do I support them without enabling them? Here are my suggestions. It is next to impossible to help an addicted person unless they want to be helped. That's a real fact. Another real fact is it's very difficult to help a person when you're very close to them. Say if one of my kids became a drug addict, or one of my immediate family, it would be hard for me to be the primary person helping them. Even in my marriage, like, me and my wife aren't the dominant mentor of one another. Sometimes I say to my wife, you've got to talk to someone else about that, because I'm biased. I won't give you good advice. Same for me and her, vice versa. So I feel like with addicts though, like, I know loads of them. What I do is I go, this is what I know about not taking drugs. You have to admit there's a problem and that it's destroying you. You have to believe it's possible to stop and that there is another way of being. You have to accept help and do things differently. Now, if they won't do those things, then I kind of will go, all right then, well, there you go. Now, that's very difficult when it's someone that you really, really love. If it's your teenage child who you adore, or your parent or whatever. But that's the fact, in my opinion. You know, the whole chain people to a radiator, lock them in a room, drive them to a rehab thing, I think it's limited returns. So for complete disclosure, I did have quite an interventionist beginning to my journey in recovery. People did go, you are going into rehab. The man that was my manager at the time was very influential, and the man that ran that rehab at the time, very influential. They really held some space, to use a therapeutic term for me there. But in the end, it's me who one day at a time did not use drugs because that was suggested. It's me who surrendered. I don't mean me in an egoic way, because whatever energy or power I found within me was granted to me by things that I can't begin to understand. But what I'm saying is, without my willingness, there's no way I could get clean. It's not my parents' fault that I took drugs, and nor is it your fault if your children take drugs, far less if it's one of your parents. So what you say to them, this is one of my phrases: I will help you to change, but I will not help you to stay the same. If you want help staying the same, i.e. give me some money, no chance. If you want help changing, I will help you to change. But you have proven that you are not the right person to come up with those ideas, because look at the ideas you come up with. So we're going to be getting those ideas elsewhere. Then you don't try and be in the nomenclature of 12-step recovery, their higher power. You find someone else. If it's a person who's got a problem with drugs, find someone who doesn't take drugs. If it's a person if you're a person that you're concerned about drinks too much, find someone who's stopped drinking too much. Or whatever the problem is, find someone who stopped doing it and say, can you help this person, my dependent, my whatever it is? They'll do it because they have to, because essentially addiction is the call. The destruction through addiction is the call that the material world is never going to work for you ever again. It's over. You have to find spiritual solutions. You can find a measure of happiness with a material life. But I mean to say, even if I don't mean religious, I mean sort of spiritual, as in your inner life must be well regarded. Your self-care must be monitored. The things that you value must be scrutinized, and help must be sought. A path must be found and then walked. But the fact is that enabling, as the word suggests, means that you make them able to continue on with their drug use. So sometimes the very definition of tough love is required. Like, listen, I can't communicate with you. You're not getting no more money out of me. No, you can't stay at this house unless you commit to change. I will help you to change, but I will not help you to stay the same. That's what I've learned from it, from being around them, that they have to become teachable. And if they're not teachable, they will carry on that path, and you have to let them, because you are not God. So, and that's a horrible thing to accept, not being God. I'm still struggling with it. But for now, I've got this wonderful Technicolor dream shawl, and that's, it's enough for Joseph, and it's enough for me. Hello, I'm doing these new videos more frequently now. Please hit the notification button at the end of this video, because then you'll get a little bell when I post a new video. And I'd like you to get a little bell when I post a video. Then I can, I don't know, be buzzing away in your pocket. Sounds like I'd be like a little pocket mosquito. Anyway, subscribe, click the bell, because I want more people to watch the YouTube videos. You specifically.
You gotta love it. So I am removing the spotlight and just gonna open it up to whoever wants to share, because there's a lot of wisdom in that humor. Anybody want to? And if you just start speaking, and the camera will know to go to you. Anybody want to share an inspiration that came up for you based on what Brother Russell had to say?
I'll say something if that's okay.
Yes, please.
As someone who's produced like over 100 programs, the thing that he said that really speaks to me and that I'm just happy he's saying is he's giving direct advice and wisdom to people that need to hear it right now. It's not, you know, a 20-hour investment, or you have to go away to a retreat, which are wonderful. But what he's giving you is something you can listen to in 2 minutes and integrate into yourself today to help you with your family member or loved one or friend. Really simple, really practical. And that's something I really appreciate. And I'm glad he's doing that and focusing on that.
Yeah, thank you, AJ. Thank you. I agree. It's very direct and very, very clear. He has that ability to really state hard truth in a way that is not very deniable. It's like, oh shit, that's the truth, isn't it? So, anyone else want to share? Maybe Johanna's puppy. Does Johanna's puppy have something to say there?
Yeah, she was sharing the whole time. So I caught a lot of it, but not all of it, because she had a lot to say because she had to go potty. However, I love that he was really driving it home that someone has to want to recover to make it happen. It has to come from within, and stoking that fire however we can through programs like this that we've been doing tonight, and through, you know, learning from people like Russell. We're able to tune into that kind of higher place in ourselves, and find that willingness to recover from whatever it is. If it's shopping, if it's eating, if it's, you know, pornography, all of these, this world is just full of addiction, you know, and there's so much possibility. There's a 9-year-old that I've been working with her screen addiction. It's just the way it is. We get heroin at 7 years old, like in our hand. And so as a society, we really have to look to teachers like Russell and within ourselves to find that balance. And that's what yoga is all about, is yoking back to our internal compass, to our truth, right? And people like Leland and myself, find ourselves coaching people back to that inner truth all the time so that they can live their best lives and be without the addictions that we grasp at when we're feeling empty, because the society, if we're listening, is sucking it out of us, right? And yes, who would you have? And Coco's just really good because she doesn't really have many addictions except for cuddling.
Yeah. Well, this is Mr. Brubles. And so I think when he saw Coco was up there, he had to jump up too.
Yeah.
Thank God for our family. You know, I want to also acknowledge something you just said, Johanna, that's so important. Look, we all have addictive moments. We all have compulsions. For some people, it's, you know, Haagen-Dazs vanilla ice cream at the end of the night. And for some people, it's something that may have much more significant consequences. You know, like Jesus said, let he without sin cast the first stone. Let he without some form of addiction or compulsion cast the first judgment. We all have them. And, you know, that pleasure center, that there's that famous line that every heroin addict is trying to recreate their first high. And we all have some pleasure center moment, whether it's your 6-year-old and the pleasure of whatever, you know, Game Boy or video game she was playing on her thing, or connecting with a friend. It may be pleasure of something that was drug related, alcohol related, sexually related, but we all have food related, sugar related. I ask every new parent to read the book Sugar Blues, which makes a very good point that sugar is the gateway to all future addictions. So it's important for us to realize that we do live in a world that is filled with addiction and compulsion. So thank you for pointing that out. Mystic Abbott Jerry, I think you mentioned that there's something you wanted to share.
Yes. I wanted to share just a simple technique that you really don't even need to be trained to do that can perform miracles. So I'd like to share one story. I usually work in trance when I'm doing healing work, and my favorite is to work in hot water, and my favorite is in hot springs. Well, this happened in Nevada about 30 years ago. I had a lady, a very small lady, in the tank, and she's in the beginning of the healing. When I started to approach her, she just started flailing and flailing, water flying everywhere, slashing her feet. And my team, they decided to hold her down. I said, no, let her go. She's just a little lady. She's not going to go very long like this. And of course, she lasted about 5 minutes, intensely fighting the water, fighting anything. And then she went limp. I finished the surgery. I carried her out of the water and laid her back down on some blankets and covered her up. And I realized her eyes were open. I went over and talked to her. I said, what happened? Everybody listen, hang on to your seat. This is intense. The lady told me that at 8 years old, she had been offered as a human sacrifice. And when it didn't work, her father put her in a third level up of abandoned car in a car yard, dead car yard, and left her there. When you looked at this lady, you could see in her eyes that she was on tilt. Nice way to say it. And here is the kicker I want you all to hear. This lady had been in constant therapy for over 20 years. All kinds of therapists. And now catch this next sentence. She told me I was the first person she ever told this incident to. That means 20 years of therapists were doing nothing. They didn't know how to listen. You have to learn how to listen, not with the intent to reply or give advice or anything else, just to listen, to understand. And when you do that, it's miracle time for the person who's talking, especially if they've never uncovered the biggest secret and the darkest secret in their life.
Thank you, Jerry. That's such an important thing. And as a coach, I'm always having to challenge myself, listen, because listen, if we're coaches, it's because we have a caregiving, caretaking nature. And so we want to make things better. And so there is such an impulse to want to make it better, to want to fix it, to offer the solution. And sometimes we have solutions. Sometimes we have the right fix it, but not until that connection has been made. And that's what I'm hearing in your story, Jerry. We have to, and that's, say again, Jerry?
Acknowledging their story.
Yes, absolutely. Acknowledging their story. So thank you. It's beautiful. Before we go to the Reverend Michael video, is anybody else wanting to share anything? Any of our remaining friends, panelists, anything that anybody wants to share?
Well, Scott, you know I can always share, and I just love. Well, first of all, I love Russell Brand. I love him, and I think he's incredible, and I look forward to connecting with him and working with him. I feel that coming. And what I want to say is what I loved that he referenced. He didn't go deeply into it, but it's the old model of intervention and why I believe and what he's saying is that doesn't work about it. And what he pointed to when he talked about being chained to something or being forced to go into treatment, the old model was you get a group of people together and you tell the person with the addiction all the ways you love them. And then you say, and if you don't stop drinking, I'm going to take that love away. Right. And that right there to me is exactly what doesn't work. Now, I want to go a little deeper into something that he said. And that is, I actually think that we can help someone even if they're not ready to get help. But I want to be clear about it. I'm not talking about what we have traditionally called it in a codependent way, like, oh, I'm going to try to control you, or I have the answer for you, or even though you don't want to get help, I can help you. But I want to talk about it spiritually, because there is physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual reality. And in the spiritual reality, we can actually help someone by the way we're viewing them. So if I'm looking at someone and beholding the deeper truth that is beyond their addiction or their strategy, it can actually have a profound impact. Totally agree with Russell. That doesn't mean I'm going to give you money or keep supporting the behavior, but holding the space for the essential self actually can make a huge difference in a person's life. There's a story of a village, I believe it's in Africa, where when someone does something that breaks the agreement of the community, they put the person in the center of the circle and they all the village members stand around and praise the person and send love to the person and speak about all the ways they are whole and perfect and beautiful beings until the person has a shift. Now, that's the opposite of a lot of the traditional, looking back, some of the traditional addiction models is, I can't do anything for you until you are ready to help yourself. And that's where we got the old paradigm of like, you have to hit bottom, you have to lose everything, you have to get to a place where you're really desperate. And so I like to ask things in questions. I, to the best of my ability, have given up one moment at a time thinking I have an answer. But I do have a lot of questions. And the question I have is what gets created, or what might get created if we were to take that village approach. I love you. I behold the truth in you. I see the wholeness in you, and watch the impact that has. Like, the reason I said it's nuanced is that doesn't mean, for example, I'm going to stay in a marriage where a person is drinking and abusing me, right? So we're not saying that, and I'm not going to pay someone's bills or all of that, but beholding the wholeness in them has a profound effect. I just wanted to add that.
Beautiful. Thank you, TJ. I'm going to go to share screen because I want to thank Reverend Michael. He did an hour-long interview with me, and I recognize that we're getting late, so I'm going to show a little bit of it. And then what I'll do is I'll schedule a time where maybe on one of my Sacred Sunday shows, I'll show the entire hour because it's quite powerful. But we do want to encourage people to participate in Reverend Michael's Agape Virtual Spring Intensive. Your spring resolution, renewal, stabilization, and liberation. And this is what Reverend Michael wrote and wanted me to read. As we enter the powerful season of spring, a season of rebirth and renewal, have your New Year's resolutions and intentions faded into the background? If so, then now is the perfect time to reinvest and reinvigorate your sacred vision for your life. Join me, Reverend Michael, for Agape's Virtual Intensive, Spring Resolution, Renewal, Stabilization, and Liberation. It's going to be Saturday, May 29th, from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So that's next Saturday. And we really want to encourage all of you to participate in that. And thank you. And I'm going to bring up and play just a little bit. I thought what I would do is he closed the our time together. We did an hour together with a prayer, and I want to find it. So we're going to.
Doesn't mean obligation.
Need to find
it. Just means learning how to deeply respond to the moment.
We're here all.
In a very liberating way. Total responsibility for the thought I'm thinking, for the emotion I'm having, even if it had its genesis. We're beyond every relationship we've ever had. But
somewhere over there.
Who am I going to become?
Beautiful.
Now, if I live with that question, the universe is going to answer that for me. If I'm sincere, and I will become a greater version of myself through the throes of a lockdown, the throes of all the stuff that's swirling and the fear and the media creating more and more fear. And I'm going to come out better if I ask the question, who can I become? You see, who can I become? And so if someone's in depression, that is a cauldron of transformation. Something is dying and something is being born. Ask, what is being born in me right now in the midst of this death? What is being resurrected in the midst of this crucifixion? What is rising in the midst of this phoenix dying? What's trying to happen? We ask that question. I'm telling you, an answer will come.
Yes.
An answer will come. Mm-hmm.
What wants to happen right now? What's wanting to happen through me?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So again, we hold everyone who's walking through these parts, these dark parts. Tremendous love and compassion. We're all connected. There's one of us here. We just hold everyone in prayer that they may come to know themselves the way they are known by life. And that we all grow with a deep and abiding compassion for ourselves, a deep and abiding compassion for each other. It doesn't mean we have to agree with each other. We just have to have compassion for each other. That means a willingness to alleviate suffering to the best of our ability.
Mm. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for this time. I thought that ending with a Reverend Michael prayer would be sweet. I know that TJ has had a lot of experience with Reverend Michael. Anything you want to add, TJ?
Just so much gratitude for Michael and his vision and for his commitment. You know, having known Michael, considering him a friend and a colleague and working with him, he's a person deeply committed to his purpose. You know, we get to meet a lot of people, right? And when I'm with Michael behind the scenes, when the spotlight's not on, he's the same beautiful spirit. He is just a beautiful, gentle, incredibly passionate and compassionate being of light. And I just so appreciate our connection and just his saying yes and how many millions of people he has helped.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. All right. Well, this is, we're concluding for the evening, but get a good night's rest and then come back and join Johanna and Leland and Jerry Anderson and me. And we might even show a little bit more of Reverend Michael tomorrow night. Or tomorrow morning. I keep saying tomorrow night. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Please join us. Come on into the Zoom room and we'll take some questions. We'll connect. We're going to have a really beautiful, sacred Sunday morning together. Thank you, everyone. Remember that we can make any moment divine just by seeing divinity. We can make any moment better by being grateful. So may we practice gratitude, divinity. And I'm going to go to gallery view. Just look at all these beautiful, bright lights that are still with us. My God, I love each and every one of you. Annie, Valerie, Johanna, new friend AJ, new friend Leland, Debbie, Jerry, TJ, and all of you. And you know what's amazing? There's still 170 people watching us in the Zoom room. God bless you all. Have a beautiful evening, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Good night, everybody.